Good evening. Welcome to Transformers, the show. We have had slight technical issues. We will be joined by Mr. Farrelly very soon. But until then, we're going to crack on anyway. We are lucky enough to have the lovely Dave Wallace from TFN fame with us to join us tonight. And Jamie is here, as always, with myself. So let's crack on with the intro. Right, well, thank you for joining us. As we say, we've got Paul just a little bit running late, not like him, but he is running late. So we're going to crack on anyway, as we would do, because we do want to get on with the show. We're going to do all our usual. So we've got news, we've got pickups, we've got our discussion later on, which I believe is going to be revolving around the Haslab reveal and our thoughts on it, and, well, your thoughts on it as well if you're in the live chat and you want to contribute as well. And we also have a special new feature that I think Paul is going to do for us when he gets here. And I'm not going to give anything more away, but I think he did put something on the description that did mention that it's going to involve other toy lines. So we've got that coming up as well. Shall we? And I've just realized I haven't got it ready yet. Shall we do the news?
Yes, we shall do the news.
I talk some TV, and now the news. Don't touch that dial.
Right, there we go, ready to share. Thank you. So we'll start with a little bit of TFN news, seeing as I think this only kind of just broke tonight.
Yeah.
It was quite late. Yeah.
6 o'clock.
Yeah, there you go. So another guest announced for do we call it the full TFN? Big TFN?
We've actually been having this discussion actually as well. Like the way we describe it is TF Nation and mini-cons.
Yeah, that's kind of how we do, yeah.
Singular, not plural.
Yeah. So there you go. For TF Nation in August, we've got Jack Lawrence going to be attending again. And, you know, if you're into Transformers, you probably know Jack Lawrence and his artwork in things like you can see on the screen. So we've got him coming. So I know he's very excited about it. I think he even described it as his favorite convention to attend, Dave, as well, which is the same for us. Right, moving on. We'll quickly show this. So this apparently is that multi-pack Wheeljack. I forget the full title for it, but this is from that multi-pack, and this is a leak that we got, I think, through Prime versus Prime. Jamie, is that right? I think that photo came from.
Yes, it's real. Yeah, it came from Prime versus Prime. It's Wheeljack. He's looking pretty awesome. Hopefully, Mel Shade Spider-Father, who's just passed his driving test, is a better driver than Wheeljack. But yes, that's it.
I think the thing with this is it is basically the Earthrise one, isn't it? It's just with a different paint job.
I just presumed Spider-Father was talking about passing a driving test and not some COVID test. I'm not congratulating.
No, he did. I'm sure he confirmed it was a driving test. So well done, Spider-Father. Congratulations, mate. Right. So we'll move on. We also had this, which is the 40th anniversary jacket that's going to be made available. The cost of it, because this is from a Japanese clothing manufacturer called Sugamono. They've updated their website with this, and it's going to cost you 86,000 yen, which is roughly $600 if you want to buy this jacket. And,
well, that's because it's made from pure spider silk.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, it's got to be made from something expensive because you can't charge $600 for a jacket.
Which has that satin feel, which is not silk feel.
Well, there you go.
Not only that as well, though, but have you noticed that it's the bottom of it?
The first combiners?
Combiners.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He's a combiner singular.
Singular.
Like.
Yeah.
£600. And then you can wander around.
There could be a line of them, like all the combiners from G2. Yeah,
maybe. I mean, it says it's a 40th anniversary one. I know, according to the information I had, pre-orders go live via the Dwango website from January 31st to February 12th. So there you go. If you want to pick up that, you can. And then it takes us on to probably the biggest news that we have, which is the Haslab reveal of Omega Prime. A lot of people, I think, had worked this out from the clues that were in the little teaser that Hasbro had released. So this is RID Omega Prime. This is the Haslab. Most people watching this, you'll know what this is already. You'll have seen it already. But yeah, from RID 2001. Any thoughts, people?
I'm buying it just because of this combined mode. I'm not interested in that. It's sort of like that's almost like a fat Optimus Prime getting ready to train to get into shape.
Wait till you see the Energon one.
Although that does look cool. I do like. I don't know, something about big huge shoulders like that, like Dallas, and yeah.
Yeah, this is like
Vulcan's
250 quid, isn't it? $250 as well, and I think in the EU it works out at about 290 euros. But last I saw, it was about halfway to its backers, and that was yesterday. So I'm guessing it's even further along.
I mean, the price is about the same. I know people complain it's almost like they've just swapped it. Well, they have just swapped the dollar sign for the pound sign, haven't they? But I think the UK gets a lot of benefits in the sense we've got much better customer service, much better customer protection in the UK. We have the NHS, and we don't have to worry about added taxes. In different states in America pay different prices, so some might be cheaper and some might be more expensive. But yes, I think overall it's not bad.
Now, I'm not a fan of RID. Dave, was this something, were you a fan of RID when it was out, the toy line or the cartoon?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, RID was... Sorry, I do apologise. Big dogs in the background, if that's... people.
It's fine. Normally it's my kids, so
yeah.
Don't worry.
No, I was. Like, RID was the show that was on when I got back into Transformers, like, in the early 2000s. Like, that was there. I remember, illegally trying to download Generation 1 episodes from LimeWire, and then all of a sudden a torrent pops up for... Transformers 2000, and you're like, what is this? Click on it, and there's RID. Yeah, like, loved it. Collected the toys, all of that stuff. In fact, what's so weird is that when they unveiled this, and I got rid of my my RID stuff a few years ago in the big purge before TFN. And like, what was so weird was seeing Magnus and seeing Prime when they first unveiled them. I was like, is that not just the original toys? Like, it was just one of those weird things. But it wasn't until you saw Omega Prime where you were like, oh, right, okay, yeah, they've changed this a little bit.
I don't know, but if you go back 2 pictures, Andy, I'll tell you. Yeah, stop. I mean, that's a hell of a phallic symbol, isn't it? I mean, you just don't get any bigger than that, and it's like...
I mean, it was there, like that was it.
I can see why some people are intimidated and don't want to back it, but when you're well endowed like myself, yeah, I'm just.
I feel like that was just an excuse for you to brag about being well endowed. Not really about the toy.
I'm a small guy, so from my perspective,
was an interesting. I thought it was an interesting unveiling though, like from the Hasbro guys, because it was like. There was that weird part in it where they were like, yeah, we've stripped out the electrics. And it's like,
oh, yeah,
right,
yeah.
Okay, so we're not getting the electric. Oh, we've stripped out the spring-loaded missile. All right, okay, so we're not getting that then. And like, but it would be like, they would be like, so we've stripped out the electrics so that we can have a better transformation. And we've stripped out the firing missiles so we can have more detail in the missiles. It's like, all right, so you've removed all of the fun. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm at a point now in my life where I couldn't give it darn about spring-loaded missiles. Like, get them out. I'm perfectly fine with it. But yeah, it was just that sort of weird thing where they had to like admit all of the things that they've taken out. But...
I found it interesting when Evan himself commented that Ultra Magnus was 70% legs, which I think is one of the for those of us who aren't necessarily huge fans of the toy is one of the things that we
many people are. I think everyone knows it's a platform and horrendous. But I just wanted to say, where is Alexis and Pete tonight? Well, old age has caught Pete up, sadly. It's just one of those things. Alexis had a tough time of it. He was out drinking with me, Pete, last Saturday, and he couldn't keep up the pace, so now he's suffering. But he should be back to his normal self. In a couple of weeks from now, we will see Alexis. So probably make an excuse like he's going on holiday somewhere next week, but he's not. He's still recovering.
He's still getting over the hangover.
Yeah.
There's the truck mode, car carrier mode. It did make me laugh. One or two people commenting, "Oh, it looks a bit like they've copied the Siege one." The other way around. Yeah. But
what was interesting with Magnus though was the fact that they very specifically went out of their way to say that it can fit 3 cars.
Yes, they were making it very clear.
It was like, all right, okay, so We definitely know we're getting the remold of what was her name? Who just came out? The purple Decepticon car. Not Shatter. Somebody will tell us. But obviously, that's clearly going to be Sideburn. So we're getting Prowling X Brawn. I take it. Like,
it could be a good chance if they're saying 3. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I mean, you don't
know.
just drop 3 cars when you're talking about RID, which has the 3 Autobot brothers.
I don't think we've got much of a discussion today.
well, we have, but we'll get onto that later on.
I mean, to be honest, though, I mean the big thing is about this is a lot of people have said you get more toy for the money you pay. The reissue was more expensive, and you don't have the problem with plastic disintegrating or the tires disintegrating, etc. And you got a cool weaponizer, which I think a lot of collectors out there are probably going to be buying it for as well. Just that weaponizer.
What's the weaponizer called again? I
Blue.
didn't get the name written down. What's
Blue Thunder.
Blue. It was blue something, wasn't? Oh yeah, I remember somebody making the joke. Yeah, I won't make that joke again. I'm sure somebody in the chat called it blue balls. But yeah, it's blue something.
All I remember was that it just sounded like an energy drink, like a really like off brand. Like, yeah.
And anyway, you get the massive sword. Sorry, Alexis, if you're watching. And then obviously the bit of information about it being out. And there's Omega Prime again, and just the comparison because Jamie, you brought it up then as well. There's the heights because we know we couldn't do it without Alexis asking about how tall they are. So there you go. You can get an idea of the individual bots' heights. Blue bolts. There you go. Blue bolts.
Why didn't they put Omega Prime's height? I just seemed to me like
big. There you go.
I
can't remember. I think they talked about it without. Oh God, I can't remember now. He's tall anyway, and this is just that Diabrave Sid on Twitter made the point that the reissue of the original toys cost more than this Haslab does, and is sold out anyway. So, £250 maybe it isn't so bad considering you're getting a modern version of the toy with modern engineering. Might be improved. Anyway, we move on. Then we had this, which I hadn't heard anything about this. This was we got this via Sonic Bomber Core on Facebook, and this is Transformers Legacy United Deluxe Shard, another one of their not Rock Lords, but kind of Rock Lords.
Do you know, the only thing is, it just reminds me of Gelatine sort of sweets.
It's an interesting choice of color. Somebody did you see the Digibash? Somebody had done it as if it was like molten rock, so it was reds and yellows.
Yeah,
and that actually really popped. That looked really cool.
But it looks really good. But I just want to put it in my mouth. I don't know. The colors just say "Eat me, Jamie." I don't know.
God, don't say that. If children start thinking the same thing. There he is next to Boulder Crush and Magnius, so you can see the little crew. Yeah, I like the look of it. It's weird. But I think that's why it appeals.
They've obviously given up the whole disguise thing, haven't they?
Yeah.
What, a helicopter boulder?
You know what it is? With this one, if you'd showed me this and went, "Oh, this was a toy that came out 10 years ago," I'd be like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, I could see that.
It doesn't feel. I don't know. Like modern is the word.
Do you think it's engineers? Do you think they've went, look, we want rock lords back, and Hasbro keeps saying no, and they go, okay, we'll have rocks that can do stuff like drive and fly?
I think it's quite clever. They've just slapped the rocks all over the figure. I mean, it's basically, right, let's just take a normal robot figure. We'll slap all the rock bits all over it, and then we don't actually have to make it turn into a boulder, because let's be honest, that's boring. You can then have it turn into something interesting that just happens to look like it's made of rock.
I could imagine some interesting photography, camouflage and stuff. It'd be interesting if there were triple changers. That would have been awesome.
Well, you never know. Maybe there'll be one down the line. When was the last time we had a decent triple changer that was an original character?
Well, one forms of rock, obviously.
what boulder mode? Why not? Gotta have it. Anyway, so there it is. That shard. Most, or at least a lot of people I saw discussing this quite liked it. I'll wait and see it and then I'll make a decision. And then there was this, and there's still some debate about whether this is actually legit, but this is supposedly Legacy United Deluxe Chromia based off the animated Prowl mold. Now, some people have pointed out that there's a load of customizers paints in the background, so it could just be custom. Other people have pointed out that this literally could be photos taken on the desk of the engineer who's putting it all together. We don't know, and maybe that's.
I don't see that being paints that have done that unless they've dyed it, you know, just because it's so clean. Unless they've done a lot of photoshopping with that photo, so I don't see that. I'm a bit worried about Bumble Jumper. He said if someone attacked you, would you beat them off? Does that make you sound like he's just going to masturbate?
Does he mean with the rock? I hope he does.
Do things different in Wales.
If that is a custom paint job, it's one heck of a custom paint job, I think. It probably is a leak of the actual figure. But again, we will wait and see. I'm sure the Hasbro lads will be overjoyed.
I mean, Charlie G made that point. I actually want to talk about the dyeing. He actually said, you know, it would be really hard to paint using just normal, you know, stuff you do for Warcraft, etc.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've seen some incredible custom paint jobs, but I don't know. I'm leaning towards this probably being legit.
Yeah, there's clean, and then there's molded plastic clean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it probably is. And then we had this, which was a teaser from Takara about the 40th anniversary. They called it Our Origin. So there you go. You got Primal, Prime again. And then we got this, which is the 40th anniversary Our Origin Optimus Prime. This is a self-transforming 1984 style Optimus Prime. So is that that's not from Robosend, is it?
No, this is not Robosend.
It's just honing in on their market a little bit. Just nudge over Robosend. Let us in.
This is like, hey kids, can you not afford a Robosend toy?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Most people like, you know, it's like,
yeah. Anyway, here it is. Thoughts?
Hi everyone, sorry I was late.
Oh,
really sorry.
Well,
a big old work thing happened. Massive apologies. I'm here
bloody
now.
work.
If the price is right, I would be interested in this.
I would buy it if it was really small. I could have it on my desk, and it was like £30. It didn't take up loads of room.
I don't know how big this is actually supposed to be, because in the information Takara put out, there was nothing I saw about the actual like dimensions of it. It might be
it's Japan. It's a good chance it will be small, but big for them. You know, they're like huge.
I wonder if the base does anything. There's those switches. It's got a little speaker. So yeah, but it's got speaker. Can you see the hole for the speaker?
Yeah, but it's because it's powered for the base, isn't it? It's connected to the base. You can't plug it off.
So it's got to be on the base. Oh, right.
It's literally a base, like what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but the RoboSyn ones don't need a base, do they? So Takara.
Well, they've actually got a powered base for the Optimus Prime one, not for the Grimlock, I don't think.
Yeah, it looks like. I don't want to say.
I'm just going to say it. I think it looks dreadful.
It looks like somebody knocking off RoboSyn and much cheaper.
Yeah, proportions are whack. I mean, look at that, man. Like it's like, you know, is this supposed to be a premium
proportions item? Whack? I don't. It looks good. I don't know.
Well, that's the wonderful thing about opinions. Everybody's allowed to have one.
But means are correct.
I'm just looking to see if I can find any more information.
I shared this at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was that fucking excited.
Well, I bet you were just as excited when we found this via Amazon Japan. And some new Earthspark releases for the Japanese market. So these are the Earthspark toys that I think we've had before. I don't know if that means the paint jobs are going to be massively better, because that tends
vibrant.
To be so we have, is that Thrash? I always forget the names.
Thrash.
I think that's Thrash. Somebody in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong. Cartoon accurate redeco of the Earthspark Warrior Thrash. We're also, well, this is kind of like the good one, in my opinion, because this is more like what we would collect. And then, looks very nice. You know, colours are good, paintwork good. Then we get into the more kiddie-friendly stuff.
I like.
You like this though, don't you?
Yeah, does it remind you of like an Action Master base from the early 90s?
Yes,
to me it does.
This is. this is a redeco, apparently, of the Cyberverse release of this Optimus Prime battle base, which this must have passed me by because I don't ever remember seeing this until just recently when we saw a couple of photos of it.
Plus, it's
It
very
looks
unlike
fun.
Hasbro to repaint something.
Yeah, them third party never seems to happen, does it? They should do it more.
People being upset because the people who bought the original Hasbro versions now thinking, well, now if I just waited, I could have got the superior Takara versions.
Do you think they will about this though? Do you think people are that
Does anyone think that?
bothered?
Yeah, I saw a lot of people
That
putting
post
angry
more-
posts and
Because that-
comparing and comparisons and going, this is shocking.
That Venn
If you-
diagram is very.
If you
slim.
hear like young fans talking about that, going, "Oh, I wish I'd known," I would have just been like, "You weren't there 20 years ago. You weren't there when Generations hit, and we had to make the decision whether we
But
were
that was the
buying
thing.
Generations or Henke." Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, but then you had
dear.
obviously was it the Takara versions when it came to like the Targetmasters and Headmasters with superior or more
Was
true
it called
paintwork.
Legends?
yeah, that was
Yeah,
only
yeah.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
That wasn't that long ago. No, that wasn't
LG
that long ago.
Legends.
That's why they released a statement saying this was no longer going to happen when Takara released it. They'll go new copy Hasbro, and Takara went no.
Anyway,
I
look
like-
at it. We've
I
already
don't
seen
mind it.
this.
No,
This
that's
is the
atrocious.
one-step Elita 1. So, but this is in Takara colors. Does that make it better? I don't know. And then one of the finest Transformers of recent years, their one-step Skull Cruncher as well. It's the alt mode that I love the most. There it is. It's a thing of beauty. I think
Flop it down.
if you're a kid, you probably love that. Absolutely. Heck,
Yeah.
there'll be adult collectors who love it. It's just awesome. And then we had just something that was pointed out by Nick Chen on Transformers Addicts, and I don't know if he posted it on some of the other groups as well. But he was obviously messing around with his Deathsaurus and realized you can store 4 of the G1 cassettes in his chest, or 6 cassettes if you stick them in like a bookshelf, which, I mean, you might want to do. I mean, I don't mind that look at the top. I'm not wild about just sticking them in like a bookcase, but you won't be able to stick the what's it called, bird chest and lion chest, is it, in the in Soundwave? Unfortunately, it's
That's
not
Eagle
cross-compatible.
Beast, isn't it? There, Eagle.
There you go, Eagle. Anyway, that's it.
Beast.
That's all
Beast.
of the mainline news.
Oh, well, that's the end of the show then.
Have we got the new third-party intro queued up, Paul, who's muted?
There's third-party news. If I wasn't here, would you even do third-party?
Yes, I would, because I've got the window open.
All right. Well, let me play some third-party.
Believe it or not, this is the fun part.
And here is Jamie's favourite mini-bot, Windcharger, as done by... is this New Age? Yes, it is. It's New Age, isn't it? Yeah, so this is the H60 Philly, which is Legends Windcharger, and also there's H60D Dalton, which is their Legends Tailgate.
Was
So-
Windcharger the bot with magnetic powers again?
Yes, he was. Magnetic arms, yes. Wasn't it
That
in the
makes
annual
sense.
when he saved Optimus Prime? Optimus Prime went up on, spoiler alert, went up on that bridge to fight Megatron just to kill time so they could blow the bridge up, and Windcharger just snatches him out with those magnetic powers, automatically making him a legend.
Yeah,
Literally.
that was the one set on Cybertron, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the first annuals, or it may have been the first one. I'm trying to remember back, but I just remember that story with Windcharger saving him. Anyway, there he is. I'm not a Legends collector. Paul, you like to dabble.
Just have it
I
here.
do
Bear
double.
with me one moment.
Go get the page. I might have mine next to me, actually.
Mine's in the
No, I
box
haven't
now.
get him. No, too small.
Yeah.
New
There he
age.
is. See him over there.
Yay! Told you.
Back when he had his weird face.
I preferred that face because Nenny went really fucking ugly. That face kind of looks like Gears, though, doesn't it? Gears had that face. I wonder if it was just the artist getting a bit confused at times.
It was amazing how much back then the artist tried to base it off the toy. rather than, you know.
But do you know how they got some bots
Character art.
mixed up? Because that face looked to me like Gears' face, the old Gears face before they made him horrendous, like Mini-Me from, you know, Buck Rogers.
Maybe. It does say he comes with his gun and tractor beam, which is what that other thing here is. And then there he is, tractor beamed up. And you can make him run. And run some more. And ride one of the reflector bots.
Kinky.
That's from the cartoon, isn't it? I'm sure.
What, they did that in the cartoon? Wow.
Yeah, I'm sure he jumped on the back of one of them, and there he is using the magnetic powers, I should say.
I
And
remember
then
Sideswipe and Sunshaker did that in the cartoon. They would rodeo some of the Decepticons.
rodeo them. Oh dear. This is the tailgate redeco. I know if Alexis is sat at home, he's saying you're murdering this, but this is all there is. This is literally all the you can find.
Possibly interested in him. I think my brother had him, so I think when you get the nostalgic connection, it makes it make you want them more. But that one does look good.
Don't you think the colours as well? There's something about the colours of Tailgate that just make it look better. The head sculpt as well. I prefer that faceplated look.
Twitter gun.
He only comes with his gun, his Twitter gun. He doesn't come with anything else. That's just it. I wonder if he costs the same then, or if he's slightly cheaper. But there you go.
Impact is going to be a 2-pack.
I wonder if the Moth is in the chat, and if he is, whether he knows whether Primetime Toys might be stocking these bad boys. But I like the look of that. That's a nice looking tailgate. They've got to be tiny though, haven't they? I mean, which Cyclone? Oh, we've got no Alexis. I'm asking the question, and Alexis isn't here. Do you know, Paul, which Cyclonus that is?
That's New Age Cyclonus.
That is the New Age. Well, of course it would be. It's New Age showing the photos. Interesting paintwork on it. A little bit sparkly.
The slightly different one.
Anyway, and that's it. That's it. That's all the news, because there was no other third-party news that I could find, and Alexis didn't pop any in the news chat. And it's too late now, Alexis, before you start bombarding me with 20 photos of things. Too late now.
No, I noticed RJ's in the chat, so do we need to talk about the fact that like Springer's going to be showing up in Void Rivals?
Oh, yeah. He was on the cover, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Which was kind of put out there. Some people said it was a bit of a spoiler. I wonder what's going to... That Void Rivals is supposed to be... I mean, I haven't been reading it. It's supposed to be really good, though. Just the crossover elements and the way they're kind of threading it in with the Transformers and everything else.
It's sort of a weird one. Like, if you haven't been reading it, it's like, okay, here is a 20-page story, like a sci-fi story that is really unique and all of that stuff. And then every issue, it's like, and here's 2 pages of Transformers for you. It's like, here is, you know, the quintessons. Here is, I mean, there's no spoilers now because these issues have been out for months and stuff. You know, here is the Skuxoid, and you're like,
Jetfire was Jetfire the first one? I remember seeing people freaking out that they got these Void Rivals, and they were like, "Oh my god, it's Jetfire!"
Yeah,
amazing stuff.
Jetfire. Who have we had so far? Jetfire, the Skuxoid, Quintessons, Shockwave. It's just like periodically, here you go. But it's great because since the Transformers comic is entirely 1984 Earth-based Transformers, it's like, okay, then you can go read Void Rivals and here's your season 3 characters. You know, it's a nice way, I think, for them to mix things up without swamping the main book.
They keep killing them as well. But I think the biggest shock just now on the news is the fact that Sixo on Twitter has put a competition for the best Transformers animated cartoon. And right now, you've got basically Transformers G1 losing.
Yeah, but isn't that because all the fans of the other ones have just kind of ganged up and gone, no?
I don't really understand it. I mean, Transformers 1984 is losing right now against Transformers Animated 2007. Now, Transformers Animated 2007 is very popular. Where I think it's a class thing.
Do you not just think it's the fact that it's like the voting for? Because as we discussed, was it last week or the week before?
Are you saying it's a protest vote?
Well, I was saying that the G1 cartoon, as much as we do love it because it's the original, it's the it's what we grew up on for those of us of a certain age. But if you actually compare the cartoon series to Transformers Animated, Transformers Prime, some people would throw Earthspark in there. You know, you've got a proper, better written cartoon series than perhaps G1 was.
Definitely.
If you're trying to be objective about it, like,
if you're voting for the best series rather than just
the
one you grew up with.
But you're wrong, Andy. You're completely wrong.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm still saying vote for the G1 series because that's what I did. but you know, I can understand.
I just think all the 80s kids, we're just too busy working hard to take part in these votes, and we don't do Twitter. We're not really a social media group, really.
Not like those
people.
There's
only a brave few who go into the forbidden waters of social media, and that's like me and yourselves here. But so many of our kin don't, you know, and I think that's
I like it that we're going for any reason at all other than animated just might be good.
Animated was good. That's the thing.
That's the problem.
No, animated told themselves animated. Come on, that's to remind people it's actually a cartoon they're looking at.
Hey, well, people might get confused.
Hey, look, what is the very first shot of the very first episode of Transformers Animated? It's a clip from the Generation.
It is,
yeah. So there we go. It wins.
Technically, it's G1.
Technically, it's G1. There you go.
And specifically War Dawn, which is the best episode of Generation 1. So
one of the finest of the episodes.
Vote for the one that had Optimus Prime. That's why I say.
Yeah.
I don't know why the comments are going.
Hey, look, we'll talk about it like later on. You know, it's like this year at TF Nation we've got Michael Charles Hill. It's like, you know, going to sit and chat with him and be like, you wrote Return of Optimus Prime Part 2. You wrote Burden Hardest to Bear. You wrote The Killing Jar. Starscream's Brigade. Like, yeah, you're quite good, aren't you? Like,
you can let him answer, or you're just going to keep listing off what he wrote.
I mean, I can still go.
You know? 50 minutes.
Yeah. Well, we were trying to figure out how to write the press release for him, and I said, like, just list all the episodes he wrote, and just like, that's it. Like, look.
Speaks
guy created DevCon, like, you know, not that is.
But for those who like DevCon, that's big.
Yeah, for the 4 people that like
Rohan, and 3 others. Loved you, Rohan. Anyway,
okay, so if we're done with the news, we've got some pickups to go through next. Plus, tonight we're going to talk about Starcom, which we don't talk about enough. And I thought no one else is ever going to talk about Starcom. But I think History of Toys, they've done the bloody video. And then like Triple Takeover came up, they've done a video on Starcom. So it's not as probably undercover as I thought it was. But we'll be talking about it later. I fucking love Starcom. I've got some Starcom behind me, so I might get out ready.
I think Triple Takeover's video about Starcom, is that not behind the paywall? So if you're not a patron, you won't have seen it anyway. So they can get all the knowledge they need about Starcom from you.
Do you mean hear it, Andy?
Well, yeah, I suppose. Here you can see it and hear it.
See,
so many senses. Probably feel it, so smell
funny.
it.
You'll be able to hear how much we don't know and see how much we don't know at the same time.
Where else are you going to get that?
Right, let's do some pickups.
We now return to the Transformers.
Hey, Andy, go on. What did you get this week? Did you get anything?
I got nothing. No, nothing this week.
Neither did I. Fuck, it's been busy this week. I've been in Nottingham all week. I just haven't. I think I've got something in the post. I'll get my TFN tickets tomorrow. I'll be picking those up.
Oh yes.
Sure, something's in the post.
Is it Transformers related or?
There's, don't know. Can't remember. It must be really important. Jamie, can you remember if you picked anything up? It's getting to old age.
Oh yes, I actually definitely picked something up as well. Yeah.
You always rely on the fact that Jamie spent some money at some
point. Exactly. We know. It's always our safety net.
I spend more at TF Nation as well than the other guys combined. Yes. Apart from many TF Nation where I think Andy just went crazy and just started throwing money away at Toy Fu.
At Toy Fu, that's not throwing money away, that's charity. Tax deductible. Anyway.
Share this, Paul.
Oh dear. Oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention either.
Oh, sorry, neither was I. I was pouring a beer.
Right, I'll try. I'm just going to go
Ooh.
through some of these because I went through these fast. This is obviously some of the photos I showed last week of Death Sauce and Star Saber. The more I look at Death Sauce, the more I love it. The more bad that the quality control was for Victory Saber, and and that's what makes me think if the quality was this good, I'm going to back the Haslab just because I want to keep that momentum going up. I just don't want them to go backwards. Because they obviously learned a lot from Victory Saber, which was horrendous with them. You know, they ended up doing a second run, not only for Taiwan, which most of their stuff ended up in the bottom C, but for so many collectors who were just getting substandard Transformers for a lot, which was meant to be premium. They use the word premium. You expect premium, not you expect fish quality. But anyway, you know, as a lot of people testified, they've been blown away with Death Sauce just because of the way the packaging was done, where they went to utmost care to protect everything. So yes, I love the figure. Got a lot of in a weird way, such a big figure. I'm not used to dealing with such a big figure when it comes to sort of doing toy photography. So it's kind of hard getting used to. And he's got a lot of articulation on it, but he's got so much presence and height. It's kind of a weird thing, but he's just I'm looking for him for a camera. So I'm obviously getting a real good close-up more than I would normally do, and it's really good quality, not any faults I really can spot, which you wouldn't expect in normal plastic toys. It's just absolutely superb, and I've obviously transformed them as well. And yes, as I said, this is probably as close to a masterpiece type figure I probably had. In the sense of the sauce, maybe in engineering as well. I know the engineer is very basic. A lot of people complained about that, but then there wasn't much else you could really do because he's quite streamlined. Quite, I think if there's a lot of people who didn't back this, go and pick it up from in demand and independence while you can, because I think it's a good figure. Where I think when it comes to Victory Saber, you could probably get it the price it came out, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. And you're obviously going to get QC issues with this, or you're just not going to have that. And
those photos are brilliant, but there is something about a Transformer, especially a Decepticon, that has like almost Autobot colors. Like he's all red and blue and white and stuff. He's got the purple badge on him, just looks cool. But photos amazing, so.
Oh, thank you very much. And yes, it's nice to have that, I think, actually, in Decepticon, not to have the generic always dark colors going on there. It's good to have that sort of red and blue, which you would normally think of the good guys, and it's nice to work with that, especially when you have them with Victory Saber. They're very much similar in the way the paint works with both of those, the same colors basically. And it was quite annoying doing that photo because I went to all the habit of doing that photo, but the ratio doesn't work for Instagram or Twitter, so I ended up having to chop it just so the ratio would work better, which is a bit annoying because obviously I just don't have the experience here, like unlike Six on Toy Box Soapbox, who seem to always ace all their photos and stuff without having to ever chop something.
They get me too.
Yeah.
Actually.
You're breaking up there, Paul. I don't know if it's my internet or yours.
I was just lying. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Breaking up and breaking down.
Yeah. But yes, go and get this. And the gold, I don't know, gold plating. I don't know what's the proper term. I've forgotten it. Brilliant. It's the way Star Saber should have been. But pickups.
I'd agree with you. It's a wonderful toy. I think I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said that it feels like a toy from 20 years ago in the sense that it's just this big, meaty toy with big ratchet joints.
Yes,
and it's just fun to play with. And it's something you had just mentioned there, Jamie, which always baffles me. And this, I don't want this to be a discussion. Because we could fall down a rabbit hole. But I always found it weird when I was hearing people say, "Oh, it's not. It's not like it's simple. It's not like overly engineered." It's like, is that a selling point for you? Like, is it a selling point that things are more complicated than they need to be? Like,
I agree,
it's
definitely.
such a weird argument for people to make. Oh, it seems basic. Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing I would say when I'm handling this toy. I honestly don't feel like I'm in any danger of scraping paint or breaking it or anything. I feel like I'm
No.
just having fun with this figure. With other toys, you think you're being a bit timid about certain stuff, and this one, it's not. It's just like this is a toy really good for you adult collectors and kids alike. I picked up these little guys. So,
Is that the concept art Bumblebee?
Yes.
Rumble, rather, from Bumblebee.
Bumble, yes, it is. And he might stay trapped in his box for a while. It takes a while for him to get out the core prison, as I like to call it. Also got Scrap Heap.
Pete will be jealous.
Oh, those! I know how much he likes Junkians. I mean, guys, if you ever want to get Pete a present off the cuff,
Junkians, yeah.
is the thing to get him.
He
You
loves
just can't
them.
have enough. I know. I think it's because they fall apart, but they put them back together again. It's kind of like Pete's life. It's
Brutal.
and yes. And then we've got Ralph, not Chunk. I've got to be honest, I don't remember this G.I. Joe character. And I feel like I'm just buying them now.
Because they're there.
Yeah. He looks
You
cool.
got to that stage.
Yeah, I don't actually remember him. Bless him. I'm sure he was good at what he did. Tunnel Rat, I do remember him. And so I'm happy with getting Tunnel Rat. So they're now human Transformers, aren't they? They're in the shared universe. So basically, I'm staying pure to the Transformer toy line.
Oh dear. Is that it?
That's it.
Dave,
No.
is it
Checked all my money I've spent. I still can't think of what it is I've ordered.
you can't
Literally
find
going
it.
through my account now. What the fuck is it? I'm thinking, I haven't ordered anything for a while. That's good. No, it's gone.
I might be getting a certain Grimlock soon.
Oh, David, we lost your sound, sir. Sorry.
Darn, muted again. I would perhaps suggest, Paul, if you've spent money on something and you can't remember what it is or when you bought it or whether it's even exists, I think an intervention might be needed, mate. I think you might have a problem.
No, I can see all the wine I've bought. Like wine.
Is that because it's all around you?
Monday, Sunday, Saturday, obviously Wednesday. That's all there. I can see that. I just can't see.
What did I pick up this week? Well, in the last week I got Deathsaurus, same as Jim.
Oh, nice.
So that was great. Yeah, he's a really big toy. He didn't fit on the shelf. I had to adjust the shelves. I was not best pleased. But he is a big meaty toy. This week, I didn't buy any Transformers, but I have just come back from Smith's. I was wandering around, and I didn't buy a Transformer, but I did buy Lord Freezer.
Cool.
So there's that.
For the Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Alexis would be excited.
I know Alexis would be, but he'd be taking us down a real rabbit hole, and he'd have started a whole discussion about it. He's probably doing it at home now.
It was just one of those things where I was like, I don't really care about this character at all, but okay.
But here's my money.
It's that weird thing, isn't it, where it's like, there's nothing on the shelf that I want from the thing that I love. So now I just have to start recklessly. Like at the end of last year, these two figures have been sat here next to me for basically the best part of about 5 months now, and I've never opened either of them. And it was just one of those things where it was like, all right, I'm not buying any Transformers at the minute, but I like Indiana Jones, right? Like, yeah, but not enough clearly to open the box. Like,
sometimes you don't need to.
Do you ever get I think this is a discussion for another day, but I was just thinking the other day, like, I'm not buying much at the moment. When I look at my shelves, like my Transformer shelves, I love it. There's no character. Maybe Springer's probably the only one I think, I probably will get a Springer at some point. I never think I need to add another character to that. When I look at like my Star Trek shelf, there's like 3 or 4 ships missing. I'll get them someday. There's no rush. All the Warhammer figures I've got, I really love. There's no ones to buy. I've got all the ones I needed to get for that set. I've run out of things to buy. Like literally, I've honed what I like down so much. There's not much around there I want to buy now.
Yeah,
It's really sad. I might, you know.
I think
it's a weird conundrum as well, isn't it? Because like I feel like Hasbro's in a weird place at the minute where they're like we've kind of done like all of the characters.
No, they haven't. Photobots.
No, God. Hey, look, Throttlebots and Sure Shot.
Junior Headmasters.
Like you know, like no questions here. There are still characters left.
And Papa Firecons, get them out. You know, the whole team.
Yeah.
And the rest of the trigger bots. There's so much they can do. I feel let down personally.
There is, but if you were to ask like a layman, you know, like I think you would even ask a proper Transformers fan, do you care about the Firebots? do you care about the Sparkbots? Like, you know,
Less the Sparkbots. Yes, the Firecons.
Autobots were awesome.
You know,
you can't watch the rebuff and not think, I want no sexy mothers, you know. You
ain't going to hear any complaints from me. But I think just to the point there, it's like, you know, we are kind of at the tail end of this probably more like 8-year odyssey where Hasbro went, all right, you want all those G1 toys? All right, here, have them. It's like,
yeah,
well,
all the weird ones.
Yeah, like, cool. Thanks.
And now they're onto the popular characters and toys from the other lines. That's why we're getting that in Legacy. Didn't we? We didn't have one G1 bot in the last wave of Legacy, did we? Legacy United.
I think we did. I think we had one.
Definitely.
Did we?
Bot.
No, he's Haslab. I'm talking about the Legacy United line. You know, the main line, the last wave.
Well, what if we had
We definitely had a G1 aesthetic bot. You know,
was that not the Junkion that you just showed off?
That Studio Series.
Oh, that's Studio Series.
Yeah.
What was it? Chase?
You've got to count Studio Series for, haven't you? Because
because it's Legacy United is a different. I mean, that's why it's got different branding, Jamie. It's not the same line.
But
if we're talking just about Legacy United,
if you listen to the engineers, that sometimes they'll just have a toy which was going to be Legacy United. They haven't got the room, so they'll release it as like a Bumblebee special.
Oh, yeah, of course they do sometimes.
Or Studio Series. No, do it vice versa.
That Junkion isn't that. That Junkion is from Studio Series because it's one of the rebuilds.
Give us the toys, Andy. Do not fight.
I'm not telling them not to give us the toys, Jamie. I'm simply making the point. The last wave of Legacy United didn't have any G1 figures. Well, the fact that I'm right is why you're wrong.
No, but it's the Junkion. That's G1.
Studio Series. You're not listening.
But that doesn't matter. It was still part.
Oh my fucking god!
You know,
Jamie, was about Legacy United, Jamie.
We don't have a special and then say,
"Oh, Jesus,
Series 86."
Anyway,
I'm right.
You're really not. But carry on.
I am.
Just say.
It's a technical tip coming away.
Oh my god.
Right, come on.
What's next?
Spent all day doing this Starcom thing. You haven't even done it.
Oh, we're
yet.
doing that now?
Yeah, it's kind of leads, isn't it? I've run out of things. Now, if they made Masterpiece Starcom, I would play that so quickly. Now, Dave, Jamie, did you ever get into Starcom?
I've just had to bring up the Wikipedia page to realise that I have no recollection or memory of Starcom.
Bessie, do you like magnets?
Like, I remember the toys, but I had no idea there was a cartoon.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't really. I vaguely look at it. They had it kind of came out in America. I looked at the dates. It's like 1989, 1986, that sort of period. It just didn't do very well, and it took off in Europe. So they re-released the cartoon again and again and again and again. But there was only 13 episodes. I vaguely remember seeing some of the Starcom episodes. Darkmane, he liked a bit of Starcom. There's the one with the Space Whales, Charlie said. Yep, I vaguely remember that. Nye Hunter, no, you're American, aren't you? So I'm sure you are. 6:30 a.m. was it? So some Americans can remember it. Guzzy can remember. Never. I didn't see the cartoon. Shut up, Drew. You can't mix it up with Mantiforce. Completely different scale. 2-inch and 1-inch. They are completely different. Because I've got some pictures actually to jog our memories, and I've got the actual toy adverts. I fucking love toy adverts from the 80s. So let's play a quick one.
They're fighting to save the Earth. Shadow Force has a new airborne threat: the Shadow Parasite Attack Fighter, a one-man gunship. with a weapon system that can blast anything out of the air. Almost anything. Starcom's new F-1400 Starwolf can knock it down. Starwolf, high-speed, high-performance fighter that powers open to take on anything Shadow can dish out. Shadow Parasite Fighter and F-1400.
The battle between good and evil rages on. Starcom's peacekeeping force patrol the galaxy for the evil Shadow Force led by Emperor Dark.
I want Starcom totally exterminated. See to it.
Rip to base. Starmax 1 under attack. Activating Magna Power. Send help.
Starcom, scramble! Only Starcom can use its Magna Power to defend the universe. Magna Power, an energy source so advanced it works without batteries. The massive Starcom battle fleet.
Magna Power, that's a cool. Did anyone think that music sounded like it was done by John Williams?
It was very dramatic.
Quite epic for an advert. They did do the cartoon. I'm not sure if I've got a cartoon. Let me see.
Starmax and
Yeah, this is the cartoon.
Starmax and Starwolf. Scramble!
I think that looks pretty cool. But the cartoon didn't look anything like that. It's amazing how much they up their game, don't they? And put all the quality on for the trailer.
Wasn't the cartoon quite poor, actually? I mean, like you say, that looks incredible, but I don't think it was a great cartoon, was it?
The toy was cool. The toy was really cool.
Definitely.
I've got photos. You might remember some of these bad boys. There we go. That was the product shot. The Starmax was the big one in the top left-hand corner. I had him. I had the small one, Starwolf as well. There was 6-shooter, the base. My parents bought me loads of these. I think it. Bisto's saying it was only the bourgeois who could afford such magnetic toys. I'm not sure that's true.
Bourgeois. Oh dear. I had the what's the buggy thing? I can't. Oh, it's a bit blurred. What's the little buggy thing at the top in the middle? I had that.
Space buggy.
I think that's the only one I had, but friends of mine had the main kind of big jet top left and the Shadow Force jet or spacecraft, whatever they were called. But some of them look so cool.
Oh, amazing. I used to look at this product. I remember seeing this advert, just reading it again and again, like the Transformers one I used to with the Micromasters. But Trump watched Starcom. This guy's probably got in for Starcom. It's actually, they've un-Americanized it. So when it came out in Europe, when it came out in the US, it had a huge American flag on all the point of sale, and the logo had a huge American flag over it. It didn't take off in America. Funny enough, it took over Europe, and Asia took off really well. And they took the American flag off it.
Didn't they have to do that because of rules and regulations? You can't have too much of an American influence on products when it comes to toys and even media and stuff. So they have to remove a lot of that kind of stuff they used to do anyway.
In case you accidentally turn American.
Well, it's because a lot of countries are worried about American influence, which has actually kind of turned out to be kind of true in many respects.
Ring Raiders. People stop fucking mentioning Ring Raiders and Manta Force. This isn't Manta Force.
Well, it's Starcom. don't you feel like
maybe we'll get to them one day?
It's like an advanced Manta Force in many respects.
You sort of get the feeling that like the reason this didn't pick up is because like, you know, much like Jason the Wheeled Warriors, it's like it had like a dedicated cartoon show where it had like specific characters, but those characters didn't exist in toy form.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I
They're all
kind of get
generic
that.
human figures.
Also, as well, General Dark, bit on the nose. Like, you know who you're signing up for if you're joining that team.
I don't know.
Are we the bad guys?
I thought it was reverse psychology. And what a haircut you had. I mean, like, you're going to follow a guy like that.
The only two things that I took away from the only two things that I took away from those cartoons was one, General Dark, okay, bit on the nose, and two, that cat was exploding as soon as that ship left that air dock. Like
somebody said that in the chat. That's what you need when you're pulling like 20 Gs.
It's like I don't need realism in my cartoons, but come on, at least give the cat a spacesuit. Like,
do you pull G's in space though? Actually, thinking about that now.
No,
actually, the cat would be unaffected. Surely, snooze in a corner.
You wouldn't have any. It's no gravity. That's no
actually, you wouldn't snooze in a corner. It's a cat. It's going to snooze in the most awkward place possible.
But you're going to have.
Stop talking about cats. Can we stop talking about Mantiforce as well? It's not Mantiforce. It's Starcom. Right, Dale? It's
Dale, man. Starcom.
Dave's brought it back to Ring Raiders. For fuck's sake, it's not Jason the Wheeled Warriors. We can't do this every time we bring up an old toy.
Just ignore the chat.
Let's concentrate on our every other toy
what is
there
Ring
was
Raiders anyway?
in the 80s. Ring Raiders was the command was in your hand. So it was a little ring and it'd have a really cool like jet.
Yeah, like a plane or like
and a ring.
I would counter that by saying I didn't think it was that cool.
It was cool for a little bit. Anyway, the last thing I want to end Starcom on. It's an amazing toy line. If you haven't got any, it's well worth clicking into. Have a look at some videos on YouTube. I always want to finish this, but what was rare, what was hard to find? Because I love a rarity in a toy line. When you think of like the end of He-Man, the last couple of ones which came out were so hard to find. Well, the one which is rare to find in Starcom was the Shadow Upriser, which is this one. And my brother had this. It goes for about £500 if you have it unboxed and complete. I saw one. The Space Bridge had one at that toy show we went to in London. And that's
Sandown.
Sandown, yeah.
Oh no, yeah. Was it Sandown?
Yeah, and I was like, fuck.
No wonder it's hard to find. It's got the Triforce, like literally right there.
The actual Triforce.
Yeah, it's got 4 of them at least.
Yeah, it's the pre-Zelda.
Yeah,
built into it. Fuck off with Mantiforce. Honestly, I'm going to leave the show.
Oh dear.
Fuck. The Buzz Bingo stand.
Paul, I had some images to share of Starcom, which Liam had done, which is Toy Box Soapbox.
I'm glad you found these because I would have crossed his name out. And
I was just,
I know.
He'd beat me to death. So there's some pictures. This was actually, I think he talked about this picture at TFN Minicon in Manchester last year. So it's quite interesting to look, how he done this. And I think he was. I gave him the idea, but I don't know. I'm sure he had the idea before, but I like to think I gave him the idea about using sand and stuff like that. But she said got everywhere and still is in his apartment, his house even. And yeah, so there's some old classic photos of his sort of Starcom collection.
I love that.
Yeah.
What was it called? Was it Manta Ray or something like that?
Shadow something.
Oh, no, I'm just thinking of Manta Force now, aren't I? You bastards.
But they are awesome toys, but they always seemed, I don't know, they always seemed like expensive man's toys, didn't they?
Why is this? Bisto.
Do you know what? I can't remember how much they cost in comparison to everything else. It'd be interesting if somebody kind of knows, those who might still have a boxed one with the sticker still on. But I don't know whether I remember them being really expensive, but I just remember them being hard to find. Maybe it's because I grew up in a rural area where we had like one shop in the entire town where you could buy toys. But I just don't remember seeing a lot of. I know my mates had some of them, but the only one I was ever able to get was that little buggy thing. And they were still cool, but it just kind of... I used it with my Transformers, so the little characters with little humans. And Tales of childhood. Feel free to jump in whenever you want.
Well, we'll knock that on the head for this week. Right, well, haven't we done yet? So we haven't done foreplay, have we? Which was Targetmasters.
Yeah.
So let's do that now. After I've just quickly checked the messages.
I'm just
Still going
looking
on about
forward.
Force.
I mean, me and Andy we do the sort of working class toys, which are readily available.
Working class. So there'll be a hoop with a stick, a ball and a cup. We'll get into the history of it.
Fuck, I can't do it.
Of course, the classic throwing shit off a stick. Right, no, just us around here. Fair enough. Specifically,
right.
Cowpad. You get some real distance on those things.
Foreplay is there.
Lynn, these are sex people.
What do you mean?
They're sex swappers. Lynn, this is DEFCON 1. Look. Look. Don't make the same noise as them. They'll think you want to join in.
So tonight we're going to do our top 5 Targetmaster. I'm just pulling a wine.
That's only 4 as usual.
Someone could say 2. That would help with the top 5.
I've got a second one. That's fine.
We've done top 4 quite a lot.
Well, Alexis normally does about 7s. Just call it top 5.
All your
He's actually been good for the last 3 or 4 months now.
Well, I don't know about months. Weeks. I'll give you weeks.
Manta Force chat is not going to be a new feature. No. Manta Force the show is not happening. Top 5 Ring Raiders. No.
Top 5
Sylvanian families. No. Right. Jamie, do you want to kick us off then? Your
yes.
Messed over the whole wide world.
It was like Paul mentioned this before. I think when it comes to choosing your toys, it's hard. It's like going for your favorite character which you liked reading about. Maybe the early character from G1, but then you obviously had IDW, which gave a lot of depth to a lot of characters that maybe we never really touched on. And then I can't help but think about the Rebirth, and then getting the classic G1 toy, which I don't have, sadly. I don't have the classic G1 toy anymore, but I did have, and it was Trigger Happy, who was one of the best looking G1 toys ever. And I think Takara, and this is the Takara version, obviously. Takara Legends.
There it is. Working class toys.
Yeah. It's definitely it pays enough homage and tribute to the original Trigger Happy, which I used to love, not just for the Targetmaster, but the fact was you could turn around his gun and you'd flip his hand back, which I'll just do there. And then suddenly he had this awesome gun as well, which the original toy had. It was almost like he had like a real gun. So you had not only a powerful Targetmaster, you had a Decepticon that had 2 very powerful rail guns as well at his beck and call. And I just loved that as a toy, and it had so much playability. And good old blowpipe. But I always thought Trigger Happy should have Aimless. I know Misfire has Aimless, isn't it?
Yeah.
It kind of name suits it, but I always thought Trigger Happy should do that. But then Trigger Happy was actually good at shooting things. In fact, he was too good at shooting things, which used to get him into a lot of trouble. And he had that sort of cowboy rodeo, kind of like Sunstreaker and Sideswipe kind of attitude. And he was obviously one of the new Jets, which you got in the Rebirth. So a very enjoyable character, very good presence in the cartoon, which we never got to see enough of, in my opinion. Brilliant in the comics. It was great. A fantastic toy. When you hit 3 boxes like that, you've got yourself a classic now. I know a lot of people like Misfire and Slugslinger, and obviously Cyclonus and Scourge were famous before they had the Targetmasters. I always think Misfire got more prominence because he was a harder toy to get rather than the character actually being that great, even though the Jet does look good. But I always kind of like Slugslinger, because Slugslinger to me always looked like a miserable bastard, and I felt, I don't know, a kinship with him. But Trigger Happy is my choice, the toy for me.
Great choice. He was incredible. One peak Titans Return character, absolutely. And the transformation of that. Yeah, it's just a different transformation to anything really we had around that time. It took it up a notch from fucking Combiner Wars, and it was just so clever. It was right at the end, wasn't it, when Misfire and Trigger Happy come out? But yeah. Happy days. Dave, a favorite Targetmaster? Could you choose one? If you had one?
It's a difficult one. Like, I didn't read the comics and stuff growing up, so for me, but the Rebirth was constantly on. Like, it's just one of those, like, great three-parters. The only Targetmaster that, like, of the core ones that I remember having as a kid was Sure Shot, which is, ironically, the one that we still don't have a modern update for. And I always liked him. Like, I love the vibrant color scheme on him and things like that. But like, one that I've got like a real affinity for, and I know this is going to sound a bit weird, but again, it's because I had the original toy and things like that, was Scoop.
Double Target Master.
Even though the double Target Masters obviously suffered from the fact that the Target Masters were basically just lollipops that, like, came in different colors. But I always kind of liked it, so it was great when we got him. But I thought I'd perhaps go with a bit of a different one. One that I'm afraid I don't have an example of. I do have him still. But does anybody remember in like about 2008 or 2009? Do you remember when we got Cyclonus and Nightstick in the Generations line?
Yes.
That toy, for the longest time, I think was probably one of the best toys that Hasbro had ever produced, especially in like that classics line. And the fact that we got we got an amazing Cyclonus toy, probably might even still be the best Cyclonus toy. I don't know. It's an argument to be made. You got a brilliant Target Master who, compared to like, say, modern updates of Target, there he is. Like, look how clean, his Target Master looks compared to, say, like Firebolt and Hot Rod here. Appreciate obviously Japan when they released their Hot Rod was better. But what was so cool about that was the fact that it was both the American and it had both the American Target Master and the Japanese Target Master. So you could connect Nightstick to the backhand, which I'm sure you're doing off camera as we speak.
Obviously. I was thinking the exact same thing as you were saying it.
Why is he taking his trousers off?
You know why.
Your
we
one
don't
makes
discuss
more
that on
sense.
air.
I just think, I just thought that was so brilliant. And that was kind of one of those very early instances of, I get that because I've seen the Japanese show, and Hasbro clearly knows about that. Well, clearly, I mean, it was probably designed by somebody in Takara, and that's why it was done. But yeah, I thought that was just a brilliant representation of a Target Master. And then that was it. And then we had to wait, 12 years before they started giving us other Target Masters. So yeah, it's kind of like a show.
You transforming him now?
No, I'm not messing around with transforming it. I've got this one, and I've got the the more kind of purple lilac-y one that came in the 2-pack with Hot Rod as well. I've still got them.
Yeah.
They are great toys, and for a long time these were considered peak, just for the design and everything. And then, of course, as we know, the Kingdom. It was Kingdom, wasn't it? Cyclonus came along, and it's an argument. I still like this one, but Kingdom Cyclonus is one hell of a bloody figure. That's the one, Paul.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the fact that he's obviously completely out of scale with modern toys now.
Yeah,
I still think that's an ace figure.
It's still a great toy. It is still a great toy. If people haven't experienced it, it's worth picking up.
And the Kingdom one didn't come with the Target Master, so
no, but the Select one, which came in the toy colors, did come with what was it? The Nightstick. It came with Nightstick again. And his cartoon / toy gun weapon. So
and it was so recently, within the last few years, when Hasbro's been releasing all of these random box sets and things like that. It's been weird how they've done it. So they release obviously Crosshairs, who is essentially just a remold of Ironhide. And you think to yourself, oh well, okay, I kind of get that. That sort of makes a little bit of sense. But then they release Pinpointer in some random Megatron box set.
Yeah, it was the
Kingdom, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
And then I had to buy a Megatron that I didn't want just to buy a Target Master.
People did though. That's the
I
thing.
did.
People
Yeah,
did.
that was me.
Oh dear.
And I quickly chucked the Megatron in a bin because I didn't care. Like, I just wanted the Target Master.
To toy foo with you.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Oh dear, that's a good choice though. That you kind of forget about that Cyclonus a little bit now. The kind of was it classics generation, whatever.
I kind of miss them being that size as well. Like,
yeah,
I do like a Kingdom Cyclonus. If he was just that sort of size with that a little bit more intricate, I think it'd probably come across a little bit better because he just looks a little bit. It's not that detailed, Kingdom Cyclonus, and the paint's not great.
I'm sure this would have been from the time as well when it was like £10 for a deluxe. It must have been around that time. And you think about what you got in terms of the engineering for a tenner. And I know, obviously, cost of things goes up. It's just the way of the world. But it just, yeah. Can't remember. Was it you I was having that discussion with, Jamie, about reminiscing about like the cheap old days when I used to be able to go into an Asda in Leeds and get a deluxe transformer for a tenner.
Everyone reminisces about that. I know
it was a wonderful time.
Still cries about that.
I've got like great like memories of that just purely because back then a good friend of mine, Nicole Hailstorm, who was a big fan of like the Moonbase 2 podcast and all that stuff. She lived in Utah, which was one of those cities in America and stuff like that, where an awful lot of toys would arrive early because it would be like a test market area. And every 4 to 6 months or something, there would just be a giant cardboard box would just show up, and basically she was just buying all of me Transformers and having them just shipped over. And it was just,
that's
awesome. You just because this was before. Like, probably a lot of people forget, this was when eBay was probably still your best bet for, like, getting Transformers.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
It was hard to get them back then, man. Like, it really was.
You had to fight the Roman desert gangs, didn't you?
I don't think we didn't have the choice. Like Jamie often talked about the amount of like independence that we have now, and companies like Kapow and Indemand that have been around for years and have propped up us as collectors and stuff. But going back, you didn't have that many options, and eBay was one of them, the main ones. If you wanted to get something from America, because we missed so many waves of toys.
A lot of independents have been struggling. I mean, Kapow and In-Demand have obviously got the experience and the diversity, the range of toys that they offer. But I mean, there has been a lot of independents come and go, or mostly internet independents, not ones of a huge shop base or huge storage facilities, and they seem to be encountering a lot of trouble for numerous different reasons.
It really upsets me that I keep seeing people like Lee in the chat who's saying about the car boots of the 90s and the incredible bargains and things you could pick up. I missed that whole period of car booting. I just didn't go car booting during it. And so it was like the mid-2000s when I started going car booting. And it was only because I got together with my now wife. And that was like a family tradition of theirs. They'd go every weekend and they'd go to local car boots, just like, as a family, you'd go out and see what they could find and stuff. And I loved it when I started doing it. I mean, even back then, I got a bag full of the G1 Combaticons for $5 from some woman. It was the only toys on her entire table thing. And she said, they used to be my son's. I'm just getting rid of them. It was all of them in a plastic baggie for £5. Thank you very much. I practically danced my way back to the car.
I've got a negative viewpoint about that. And I say negative because to me, I think it's quite positive and just in my opinion. But I don't like the idea of I could understand car boots because that's the general public, but when it comes to charity shops, the reason I don't donate stuff to charity shops when it comes to toys, I'd rather give directly to a hospital, or like I'll give directly to friends or family now, because I don't like the idea that I donate toys for which considerable amount of money and a good neck in good condition for some old guy to go in there and say, I picked this up for a $5 and that. I donated it to these charity shops for poor people specifically who can't afford that kind of stuff, and to give them access to toys specifically. And I think there's got to be a sort of a charity shop set up system which can in communities where you can do that again. And there's some toy charities, and I think where you can donate toys and they'll deliberately make sure it's given out to the sort of poor families from underprivileged backgrounds, and even take them around, you know, certain things. But you know, it's the one thing it's kind of put me off donating to charity shops. So I remember 2 years back donating some monitors I had, and then I just thought to myself, was this maybe even a cover thing? Shouldn't I just maybe have given this to a more of a specific shop rather than a charity shop, just because of that? You know, I would hate to think it. Do you understand where I'm coming from without trying to make it sound?
No, I get what you mean. You don't want to be given. You're kind of doing this, and you want the charity to be able to benefit from it. And then, like you say, one of us wanders into a shop and goes, "Well, hey, I just got, Haslab Unicron for $5 from Oxley." You know, extreme example, but you know what I mean. It'd be like you'd feel a bit like, oh, shit, well, should be to. But what you could do, I suppose, is there's like Toy Foo and charities, like you said, that will sell them on at a decent price and use the money, or just give them directly to the hospitals, things like that,
because there's so much poverty in the UK, and I think it's growing. I think there's so much more we can do, and I think it's hard to get that information out there and do that. But it's just a sort of pet grudge I have, I guess.
Also, as well, like it's a bit demoralizing when like a charity shop is like, "Oh no, we can't take these things." It's like, I'm sorry, what? It's like, oh, we don't accept X, Y, and Z, and you're like, but you're a charity shop, and I have stuff that I want to get rid of.
I've encountered that.
This is my charity to you.
Exactly. Oh, no,
These old stocks have been taking up far too much room in my house.
Yeah. Like we recently got I say recently, like 2 years ago or something, got a new sofa downstairs that was like, oh yeah, we would like to donate our old sofas. Oh well, we need to come out and inspect it. What? Like, okay.
And you still need to have the fire.
Yeah, still need to have the fire tag on and stuff like that. It's like, I'm trying to help you here. Like,
I know we've moved on from Targetmasters now, but the other end of the charity shop scale is when, because the computer games, I fairly know like most of the prices, especially like PlayStation stuff, having like traded it for so long, and sometimes you go in there and they'll have like Final Fantasy 7 or something, £52 on eBay, and like they're selling it so much more expensive, but they haven't checked sold prices at all. They just go for the first price they see, or Amazon, which is like the worst. Which will like have it up, it's £100. You're like, fuck. It's never going to sell for your charity, but right. We're not doing our top 5 charity gripes. No. We're doing our Targetmasters.
Action Masters.
Is it just me left? Oh no, it's you.
Okay,
Come on, you go.
I went for Point Blank. Point Blank. Contact Shot. I get confused sometimes. I get so used to the third-party names. I was like, that's not Point Blank. That's Contact Shot. I lost Point Blank in my fucking house when I moved when I was 10 years old. And all I had was that little blue thing on the top of his head. I went to Sandown and bought him for my son, who loves him. And at the same time, this came out on the market for, I think it was about £80, which is like the masterpiece version of him. And he's old for a masterpiece. He's re-released, but still, just as a kid, he was my hot rod. I never had hot rod as a kid, so I used to have G1 Point Blank. I used to Peacemaker, I think his gun's called. Used to drive him around, and it didn't bother me that, because I knew he wasn't hot rod. I used to think he was cooler than hot rod. I used to think his head was a bit like Jazz's head, very similar to Jazz's head. I used to think that's cool. Jamie had massive shoulders. I too am a lover of a massive Dallas shoulder. As a child of the 80s, he had that in spades, and he had this random blue shield thing, which was really shit, but you could just plug it in, and you could have the Targetmaster and the blue shield.
It was a thing.
It was, and it made it better. It made him a better toy on the back of that.
I always remember like when Contact Shot like first showed up, like the very first, because our toy must be at least going on 10 years old now.
Yeah,
if not,
one of the first.
It was one of the first third-party like masterpieces, and I remember being like, "Oh, that's good."
Yeah,
like and then the market got flooded and nobody cared anymore. But like that one, I think will always like sort of stand the test of time as just kind of like, if you were there and you saw it, you were like, "Oh man."
And the aftermarket price went up to like 250 quid, and I remember people tagging me like, "Oh, I've seen one for £230." I was like, "Oh, shall I bite the bullet? Shall I get it?" And then I think it was Make Toys or a subsidy of Make Toys re-released it for £80. So
it wasn't a knockoff, wasn't it? It was a subsidy, or
yeah. Well, they had the design. It goes weird, doesn't it, when you get to China?
But I always like how when you talk about your G1 sort of stories, and you always talk about how you lost it, was run over by a car. But now, instead of feeling sorry and the empathy, I'm just reimagining a young Paul drowning in Starcom toys now.
In his bourgeois house.
Yeah.
Dad, put more money on the fuel. on
the fireplace. Dad, there's poor people outside. Get the shotgun.
It's when we finished with the foie gras.
Southerners.
It was nothing like that. My parents.
Is that where your love of cheese boards came from?
I think my parents were so cool. Like when we like, my dad ended up his job in the end. It got like really good, but not until we were sort of teenagers or anything. So as the young, they always gave us as much as they could. But we were definitely not rich or anything. We were quite poor. Or my mum didn't work, so my dad used to work as an ad manager, and he used to work so hard, and in the end he got his rewards and stuff. It was brilliant. But during the 80s, like my toys, the only thing they would make a massive deal of was birthdays and Christmas, and I cannot tell you the excitement we'd get, because they would probably spend far too much more than they needed to spend on toys and presents for us. And that's why probably I've got such an affection for thinking about toys, is because of that generosity that they had during their days being poor and stuff, because it meant so much. And they could see how much it meant to us. And they actively encouraged us, things like Transformers and
that
stuff.
probably explains your generous nature, I think, in some cases. Yeah.
I know, but I'm a massive racist, so I'm not at all.
That's a joke. The opposite. Sweet baby Jesus, that's a
you
joke.
heard it here first. Explains why he's an Arsenal fan.
No, I'm definitely quite the opposite.
What's the opposite?
Tottenham fan.
Yeah. Someone who really hates racists and a Tottenham fan. They're the two opposites
of
normality. Right. Andy.
Yeah, right.
Targetmaster. I've seen a lot of psychosis from you, so I kind of feel like you've been, but you haven't really.
No, I'll do a quick. What do we call it? Honorary shout out, but I'll do a quick crosshairs. And I have used the Siege one rather than my G1 crosshairs. In fact, I should have got my G1 crosshairs and my G1 other figure, but I didn't. So tough. So yeah, I think this mold, which of course was Ironhide, far better suits crosshairs, and I love it for it. So he would be up there because he is my favorite Autobot Targetmaster, but my favorite Decepticon Targetmaster always has and always will be, because I had it as a kid. It's Misfire. And it's not the IDW. I loved him in IDW just because he was in it. I mean, it's like Double Deal. You stick him in something, I will love it because he's there, and that's enough for me that he's represented. But it's the colours. I can still remember when I got Misfire from our local Woolworths, the only shop that sold toys, and there was like, obviously you see them on the shelves, and I would have looked at Slug Slinger and Trigger Happy and Misfire, and for some reason, the colours on Misfire, I just looked at it and went, that looks mental. It's a bright pink space jet. What the hell is... I'm buying that. That looks friggin' mental. And I remember getting it home and like, I loved it. Even though, I don't know, he's got quite a bit of articulation for a G1 toy. Obviously, this is not the G1 toy, but he's got quite a bit of articulation. I just found it, he was like a comedy character. You know, he's Misfire and aimless. He can't shoot for shit. He's more likely to shoot his fellow Decepticons than he is any Autobots ever. And then, of course, I had the Rebirth, just in honor of you, Alexis. The Rebirth on VHS. That was the first videotape that my family ever bought. So my mum and dad, we pestered them because we were the only family I knew who didn't have a video recorder at that point. And we pestered them, and they took us out. We went to Darlington, local big town-ish, and bought a video recorder, and my mum and dad said you can each buy one videotape, and my two brothers couldn't find one they wanted, and I found the Rebirth on video and brought it home. My uncle had to come down from his house because my dad couldn't figure out how to hook it up to the TV properly and get the picture to work, and the first thing we all sat around as a family and watched was the Rebirth with me with the G1 version of Misfire. And so I love it. I love him. I love it. I always will. I get that he's useless as a bloody Decepticon, but I don't care. I don't care. I just don't care. I love him, and I will always love him. And till he does something really bad, and then I have to stop. But I won't, because he's great. So yeah, I'll go with him. I love his jet mode as well. And I always say this: Hasbro, you sneaky bastards! They package them in the packaging, so you were looking down on the top of the jet, and you'd think, "Wow, that looks sleek and slick, doesn't it? Look at that, it's beautiful." You get it out the box, and there's all the robot bits just underneath, as that massive undercarriage.
They still do it now, mate. They still do it now.
I know, but it doesn't generally tend to be quite as bad now. But yeah, Misfire. I'm not even going to bother going on about the IDW version. Just great colors, mad, mental, love him. Takara version, because apparently that's what us working class people do. We got Takara version. I had the Titans Return version as well, and I just preferred the colors on this and the fact that it came with a nameless.
Because the Takara version's better. But
yeah, a little bit. I'm not poor anymore. Actually,
my Takara version is.
I am now because I buy Takara versions.
and it was nice to get a cup.
You're mute again.
And it's nice to get a cup, which has got the actual colours of what cup should have been.
That cup, yeah, the cup,
yes,
and
yes,
Blur as well. Blur, because Blur's amazing. Times Return Blur is an amazing.
Great mold.
But it's so boring color wise.
I just wish that I hadn't slept on those guys like when I did, and now it's a case of, oh yeah, Misfire. I think Misfire was, I bought him 2 years ago at TFN, and it was 120.
What's really weird there was I was going to say they're about 120, aren't they? I'm guessing they're more now.
Probably.
I actually won a competition. Spiderfather does a competition where he just saying to say something about Transformers or even just say anything polite, and if you enter, there's a chance you could win this toy. And I just made a comment because I loved Rebirth and Targetmasters, and it was Misfire was the prize. So I just made a comment, and I ended up winning. But I didn't want to enter because I already had Misfire as a Targetmaster. So I made a comment and said, actually, look, I've already got this. Just pass it on to someone else. And it was so annoying because
hang on, is this just another story of how wonderful and generous you are? Anyway, just
to
point out how wonderful I am. I won the toy, and I
like the fact you said just another story because I've got so many.
I thought the twist was going to be. I thought the twist was going to be that the comment he left was, "Give us Misfire, you bastard."
No. I've already got Cup. Have you got Misfire? Because he cost a fortune. I'll have that one.
Well, I've got all the Takaras, to be honest. But Takara Cup, I always kind of liked him because it was just about Cup. It's the first time I would say of the older era before we started to have, the Siege line started to give us the many masterpieces we all craved and didn't know we needed. Cup was that, it was the first time I started thinking, this is the toy I want. And I mean, you had his Targetmaster Recoil, and I know one of my other favourite Targetmasters is Pinpointer, but Recoil, what a name for a Targetmaster. You just can't help but just love that. And obviously having this sort of, I've actually bought Double Cross just to get the Targetmaster from there. So I'm paid something like 75 quid, which I got from In Demand Toys at TF Nation, ridiculously, just to get the Targetmaster, because I did love the Takara Targetmasters, even though they started to bring about with the figures they didn't belong to. But yes.
They were better though. I mean, the Takara Targetmasters are really good. They're just a step above. Even what we've got since that line, from Hasbro. No offense, Hasbro, but they were just better engineered. And,
yeah, better proportioned and stuff. Like I say, it's like that is, it's just unwieldy. Like it's not aesthetically pleasing in the slightest. Also, as well, possibly the best Cup toy. I think I prefer it to Studio Series.
I agree.
It's 50-50 me. I keep swinging both ways, but when it comes to that, I'm just
going to clip that thing you've just said.
Yes, you will, you bastard. But yes, it's definitely
YouTube short.
I think Studio Series 86 definitely has got more articulation, so great posability in that sense, and the proportions seem to work well. But there's just something about it in hand. I think the Takara version just seems to be, it's just better in hand. But when it comes to actual displaying and playing with the figure, the Studio Series 86 looks like the Studio Series 86 from the cartoon. But he is like, if you had an updated cup, this would be it. You know, it
I
looks
preferred
good.
him to the Studio Series cup.
Yeah, well, that's what we were just discussing there, because
sorry.
me and Dave were kind of saying the same kind of thing. Jamie was saying he's 50-50 and he kind of likes both, so it's... But that's fine, we're all allowed to. Is Alexis sneaked into the Transformers The Show YouTube thing? Because the comment that says, last time, Paul, Alexis, just sign in as yourself, for Christ's sake. Why are you in this?
Because he doesn't think people would listen to him in his own name.
If he puts Lecky in,
everyone just goes, fuck
Come
off.
on, Alexis. Signed in.
Everyone knows it's not Paul because they go, spelling mistakes.
Well, the fact he's talking about himself in the third person. Paul does not like when Paul is ignored.
I think that Alexis is deeply misunderstood and is the best person ever.
I definitely think Alexis... No, don't. We'll leave it. Could go on all night.
He's my best friend.
I allow it, and then every now and then I put one as me, and everyone thinks it's Alexis.
Deliberately.
Kissy comes back on the menu, boys.
Get some close back. Right. Just can I just double check? It's been a long week. Our discussion is all about conventions, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah, well, what we said was we had talked about
talking
about the Haslab, but we kind of have discussed that a little bit already, I think. And we've got Dave here, and we've got TFN Minicon coming up, so it just seems to make sense to have a little bit of a chat about the kind of year ahead and what we can expect for those of us who, you know, working class people who've worked our way up to be able to afford tickets to be able to go and enjoy the wonderful TFN Minicon.
At Manchester and Birmingham, the two most desirable cities in the UK.
Not frigging Newcastle, Dave. Come on, man. Have a word. By the quayside, could you imagine?
Hey, look, if I could roll out of bed and fall into a Transformers convention, which is what I do pretty much every August, that would be grand. But hey, look, the truth of the matter is, right, and let's see whether or not Paul wants to confirm this or not. In order to attract a southerner, you cannot have them travel any further north than Birmingham or Manchester, because the rest of the country doesn't exist. In fact, even getting them to leave the south,
M25
is a nightmare.
When I first saw that you were doing conventions in Birmingham, I thought that's so weird that they would have them up in Scotland. All right, I'll travel. I do like Transformers.
And to be fair, he was living in the north of England by
it's just the reality of it. It's just like, all right, okay, you're going to do a convention. It's got to be somewhere in the middle.
I was like,
otherwise, people down at the bottom don't care.
It does work both ways, though, because when I used to have a season ticket in Newcastle, I used to meet up with some Geordie friends who actually lived in and around Newcastle. And the first time I kind of got introduced to some of them, one of them said to me, "Oh, where are you from?" And I said, "Richmond in North Yorkshire." And he went, "Ah, you're a Cockney then," because basically anything south of Gateshead, he said was the south, and that was the attitude that a few of them had. So
See,
it does work.
People in the chat there saying exactly the same. Birmingham is the limit. From London, Birmingham, yes, furthest north. Like, bearing in mind that they've got 3 airports, right? Multiple train stations.
Yeah. The easiest access to public transport, probably in the country.
That's just so they can leave, though. That's not
including Scotland.
You know,
there's 75 million people, isn't there? 5 million in Scotland, 50 million are Birmingham or belong, 20 million are above them. We're literally pandering to the Northerners. Most of us are below Birmingham, so I would say Welwyn Garden City. Now that is the place we should have it, just above Stevenage, about an hour south of Birmingham.
When you said most of us are below Birmingham, where do you live again, Paul?
Yeah, I know I live up north now. Hawaii.
I actually do some in Welwyn Garden City.
I love Welwyn Garden City.
I love the fact that we've totally derailed this. It's like,
anyway, sorry, yeah.
Let's talk about Southerners and their hang-ups with travelling north.
With the Park basis.
Where would be a fair place?
Bourgeois, racist. Anyway, no. Right, so Manchester Minicon.
travel to the French Alps to go skiing. Won't travel to Newcastle.
Because the French Alps are warmer.
It's true.
Yeah, but you can still ski up north.
Yeah, it's true.
You still want that big coat on, will you? So
yeah,
we've got tickets going on sale as well tomorrow for something a little bit special.
Yes.
Which I'm excited for.
TF Nation Transformers 40th anniversary. I can't tell you a great deal other than what's already been announced. We've already announced that Kat will be with us, who is playing Twitch in Transformers Earthspark. She's the first voice actor that we've announced. Michael Charles Hill, again, you know, if you're a Generation 1 fan, he wrote some of the best Generation 1 cartoon episodes, and he was one of the producers on the show as well. So he was actually the guy who was standing like next to Wally Burr while Wally was doing the directing and stuff. Like, he was there doing like last minute writing jobs if like a line sounded a bit clunky or something. Like, you know, so he's got some incredible stories, you know, created DevCon, if you care. You know, we've just announced Jack again, you know, like an absolute mainstay.
That was in the last couple of hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, like literally in the last couple of hours. We've got some guests lined up that I can't wait to announce. Like, it's going to be like so much fun. You know, we've taken the approach much like Hasbro has, which is that it's not a 40th anniversary of Generation 1, because what even is that? You just invite Simon Furman and there's your convention, you know, pretty much. Like,
I'd be happy with that.
Just a room with Simon.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But,
all right, I'll do that
for
a whole week.
Transformers is more than Generation 1. I know to a lot of people it isn't, but it, you know, it really is. I mean, it's existed for 40 years and it is still ongoing now. So we've got some guests that will run the entire gambit of Transformers history still to announce. As people probably know, like, my job pre-show is to like set the convention and the schedule and stuff like that. And what I will tell you now is last week I did the first draft of the schedule, and I've only got 2 hours left to fill for this year. And that's it. And that's
not
purely...
for you, Alexis.
I was just going to say, if Alexis was here, he'd be saying, well, we are free.
And I'll turn around to Alexis and go, I've seen you drunk, mate. Not a chance. No.
I think everyone has.
You know, but yeah, like, I'm super excited for it. We've got the Minicon to get first in March. You know, which, I mean, the first one, massive success. So successful that we had to find a different building because we were like, bugger, we need to find somewhere bigger. And then the tickets sold out in less than 24 hours. And it was like, okay.
Is it just going to end up being back in the NEC? And
like,
oh, not again.
So just one in the north. Slightly smaller by a little bit, Con.
So here's a little bit of insider baseball for you, all right? And like, I know we've probably talked about this before, but so TF Nation is in this weird place where it's too big to be anywhere smaller than the Hilton, but it's not big enough to be in a convention center. And so a lot of people complain about the Hilton. They complain about the service. They complain about the cost. They you know, all of that stuff, right? I get it. But there are literally only a handful of locations in the entire country that can, like, work for TFN. And I'll give you a real world example.
I don't know, my shed's pretty big.
The weekend after us last year in August was Destination Trek, which is the big Star Trek unofficial convention. It used to be official. It's now unofficial. They were in the Hilton the week after us. They've moved the convention from the Hilton this year to a different location. And they've moved to the nearest location that has comparable facilities to the Hilton. They've moved to Blackpool.
Bloody hell.
So it gives you some idea of like how
this.
It's
weird
scary
it
up
is.
there.
Yeah.
Orders dude would be absolutely ecstatic, though. To be fair,
He's Scottish,
he loves
it's because-
Blackpool. Absolutely loves it.
It's a step up.
So with the Minicon, it's kind of like a weird thing altogether because it kind of feels like we're starting the convention from scratch again.
Yeah.
And it's sort of
be able
nice.
to keep that atmosphere, that because like last year, the first one, it was just so it just felt, and you'll be able to confirm it, obviously, because you were working. It felt so much more relaxed, and I remember you coming and sitting with us and having a drink and just being quite. You almost seemed a bit.
Do you know,
shocked.
I actually really
I had
enjoyed
no
your
work
company.
to do last year. I was brilliant. Like
Yeah, I enjoyed your company last year. Not saying I don't enjoy your company other years, but
kind of suggest.
I'm so worried because you're so tensed, but I'm so worried about saying something that just adds to that tension.
Yeah.
You know, where I felt in Manchester, no, I can actually elect him and annoy him now. I can, you know, it's just like, you know, it was just good.
I remember TFN 2022, Dave, and finally managing to catch you to have a beer and you saying, sorry, we've been run off our feet. And then somebody came up to you on the staff after about 5 minutes and just said something, and you just said, sorry, lads, I've got to go. And you were off
Apart from
again.
that person
Oh my God.
who stole something at the Minicon, remember they stole something.
Well, yeah,
and I was really pissed off because I was going, fuck us, this has been a stress-free, you know, Minicon, and someone's gone and spoiled it.
Oh, fuck. Oh, we're in trouble now. Billy's in the chat. I'm in trouble.
He's going to get you some work this March.
Yeah.
And
No, I
Yeah.
did, you know, like, just out of curiosity, chaps, like, did you guys start going to Transformers conventions at TFN?
Yes,
I did.
Yeah, okay. So my convention, like going to Transformers conventions, like dates back to like the early 2000s, you know, and it was that and this was obviously when I went just as an attendee as well, you know, but there was that the Minicon sort of feels like a convention from 20 years ago. You know, it's a one-day event. It's generally just full of toys, you know, which is kind of like what I was after at the time, you know, because back then it was difficult to be able to watch the shows and things like that, you know, and it's great. And the fact that, like I say, it's gotten bigger this year, and you know, Billy and I spent basically the last week together, like working on the show and things like that. And you know, you sort of scratch your head going, okay, well, this thing sold out in just over 24 hours, like, and it's sold out. Like, okay, people like this. So what do you do in that situation? Well, you'll have to wait and see.
I really liked the Minicon last year.
Yeah,
but,
be careful though, because I can't go to my wife and say there's one a month now.
Monthly.
Because the thing is, I think a lot of thing I've heard in the fandom right now is a lot of people are cutting maybe the purse strings maybe next year. Because there's so many other conventions that a lot of people like to go to, and it's starting to get very expensive quickly. And I think about Minicon Manchester and TF Nation Birmingham. You know, I could almost go back to Asia on holiday for that. Literally, I could. You know, places like Singapore and stuff like that. So it's starting to sort of build up. But I do love it. And the Minicon Manchester last year, I really loved Liam. Toy Box Stuart 60. I really loved the toy photography seminar, and I thought it was brilliant. And I really loved that kind of, you know, closeness as well, and being able to ask him dozens of questions and such. Where TF Nation, sometimes you really are a very small fish in a massive pond. You know.
Well, you know, it's a funny old one. Like I totally take on board what you're saying there about the cost. Like, you know, the reality is everything's expensive now. You know, and but what was so fascinating was, you know, right from the beginning, TFN has been a premium convention because it is a convention that is dedicated to one franchise. And if you look at any other convention like that, a one where it's generally you tend to find it for TV shows. Sherlock had one and stuff like that. And we're always conscious about like how much it costs, like to for the show, because these things are. This is something that probably people don't realize. To run a show like TFN is really expensive. Like, I won't go into numbers, but the Hilton isn't cheap. Like these places are, and I don't mean the beer's expensive. I mean the rooms are expensive. And it's this constant battle of trying to be like, okay, can we deliver value for money? Can we keep making sure that people are getting value for money? And then what I was shocked at last week was we were looking at the price of a general con, like an all-purpose sort of thing, an MCM or something like that, where they have over the course of their weekend, let's say conservatively 20,000 people a day, right? We don't have 20,000 people. But if you look at the ticket price for an MCM now to what a TFN is, there ain't that much difference. And that's kind of shocking to me, because I know how much our show costs and I know how much their show costs. And we're constantly fighting to not have to put ticket prices up. And I've seen that their ticket prices are nearly the same as ours. But it's a luxury that we get to do this, and totally appreciate that, given the cost of living crisis, it's difficult for people to be able to like make that decision. But all we can really do is just put on the best show we possibly can, and hopefully, it entices people to come back and people get to see their friends and all of that stuff. And that's my sales pitch.
See, that's one problem I have with TF Nation, in the sense each year, and it's a positive.
Jamie,
is I
come back on again.
I bought all the tickets, as Andy knows, and I bought it for Maylin, even though she doesn't go. So I feel like I'm supporting TF Nation, even though we're not going to get to see, especially Maylin's not going to get to see some of these events. But last year, I really made a concerted effort with a lot of the lads to go and see every seminar we could possibly do. And I was exhausted. And I missed out, and I think in chatting to so many other people, because I was like, oh, sorry, we're going to the cinema, we're going to this. And it was a good thing. But it's like this year, I think a lot of the lads, we're staying 4 days now. And that's to try...
5.
Yeah, actually 5. It's 5 days, isn't it? And that's to try to fit in, seeing other people.
Oh, dude, I totally get it. I was doing this like 2005. Like we were going to Birmingham, like for the convention on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. When we were a lot younger back then, so we'd be crashing on each other's floors and all of that stuff. People who lived in Birmingham and stuff. And you're right, it was literally to get that social aspect done, because I knew that as soon as Saturday hit, because it didn't start on a Friday, this was a Saturday, as soon as it hit, that was it. Like, you were gone, and my biggest regret now in regards to the show is, just what we were talking about there in regards to Manchester. My biggest regret has got nothing to do with the show. It's got to do with the fact that I'm 40 odd years old now. And after I've worked all day at the convention, I can't sit up till the next morning. Because back in the day, Saturday, Sunday, I would host both of them. And bearing in mind, Patrina wasn't there. So I was literally on stage from the beginning to the end of the show. Go to the bar, stay there till about 4 o'clock in the morning, have about 2 hours sleep, and then do the whole thing again on Sunday. Now it's like, sorry chaps, gotta go. I'm really tired, which is why I really liked the minicon, because I was like, hey, I can sit and have a chat with you and stuff like that. But we've realized over the last few years and stuff, we've really realized that, there are people get something specific out of TF Nation, and you can't factor all of that into, one individual. That nobody's going to do everything. So the stuff that we can control, the guests, the event, what's on and stuff like that, just do the best we can and let people basically enjoy themselves. Like that's the thing. And I totally get it. Like
that's what you do the best, is just let us have a good time, and like the efforts that you'll put into getting people to know each other, and all the guides and stuff you put on the on your website, and when you sign up, people are so just friendly. And that's like when you talked about the Trek convention, and I have loads of Trek friends, and they just say the Trek conventions are great. They're not TFN though. That no one stays in the hotel. They'll go for one night, maybe 2 nights at best, and everyone's done by 6 o'clock. There's no people sitting in the bar till whatever. And we were the same this year, wasn't it? I would say last year at TFN, I think we were probably in bed, me and Andy. No, we were probably in bed, all of us, like the whole group of like 18 or 19 of us, were probably in bed by midnight on the first 2 nights, quite easily, I would say. And then on the third night, I think we made it to about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. We're the same. It is hard to do that.
I was at a nightclub with me, Len. Just
you liar.
I'm not.
Yeah, it's.
I was.
It's
lies.
I often think, and people might have a different take on this, but obviously I'm very close to it. Is I think we do. I've never come across a convention that is run better than TF Nation. Like, and I'm not like trying to be egotistical or anything like that, but I'm like, if you put our show up against any other convention, in terms of the effort that we put in to make it happen, like it's just not comparable. Like you go to an MCM, what do you get? You get a screen, you get like a little folding out screen. You get a couple of roller banners and a stage. It's like nobody puts the effort into like building the stage that we do. And we don't have to do that. And that, again, like not trying to like, that costs a lot of money. If you look at the auto assembly stage, did it look like ours? No, it didn't. Do we have to spend that? No, we don't. But we do because it looks good.
Even your photo, like the photos you put up today on TFN, like one of them was me holding RJ in my hands. I remember that so specifically. We had the early access pass
in your hands.
We were there that night. I was literally holding in my hands,
holding him. You
can't see it. You can see it on this camera. I'm actually 9'10", but I'm Primark from the Space Marines. But I was grasping in my hands, and like I remember that night we had the early access pass. We were watching J-Han. No, sorry, it was before J-Han. It was Triple Takeover, and everyone was just getting on, having a great time. And that was at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. Whereas most conventions, they'd be shut down. Nothing would really be happening at that sort of time. Well, this was Friday night, and the convention was just starting. We still had like a couple of days to go. I want to know.
And RJ had taken Maylan's armband to get to see some of the events. That's how generous I was, because I was the fuck it paid for RJ and not Maylan. Just saying. Yeah.
Just in case anybody hasn't picked up on it, Jamie's great. Okay, can we all just if everybody just gives him some love.
RG's
he's built himself too high now. If you need anything, if you need a room to rest in, go to Jamie. If you see Jamie,
it started off really well, and now it just sounds like he's being really aggressive. I give these people.
No, it just came back to me because he was going at this. Maylan was really generous, and I was like, what?
The thing you can't get from, like you said, from any of the conventions, the atmosphere is just, I don't know, it just feels like family. I can't explain it. It just, you see people that you might not have seen for a year, or you might have seen a couple of times in a year, and it's like that feeling you get with old friends when you all get back together, and it's like you were never apart. And the chat, the general feeling of kind of I don't want to call it like a loving because it sounds a little over the top, but it kind of is. That's why it's the best weekend/week, depending on how long you're there for.
Do you know what it was? Like, again, I'm old enough to have done like. Basically, in terms of the UK Transformers conventions, it was 2008 onwards, and then pre-2008. And pre-2008, you would do exactly what you do at any other convention. You go there, you walk around, you buy the stuff, you listen to a bunch of panels, and you go home. And then,
I don't like other conventions. There's no pubs.
That was it. And then 2008 hit, and it was 2007. Transformers the movie had hit, the first live action. Transformers animated had hit, but more importantly, people started getting YouTube channels, and you started getting like Facebook groups. And then suddenly in 2000, and I literally can't explain it, but 2008. Everybody showed up to the same convention they were at last year, but everybody knew who everybody was. And from there, it's just, exploded. Like, it's such a, that's it. They're your mates. And that's the good thing about it being a Transformers convention. It's not an 80s pop culture convention. It's not a cartoon convention. It's not a comic con. If you like Transformers, that's what this show is about.
The one thing that comes to my mind is TF Nation conventions is how nice. The very first one I went to, even though I wasn't doing the show, I wasn't on Twitter or Facebook and that, the staff were exceptionally nice, exceptionally helpful, bending over backwards, and I mean that in the terminology. They were bending over backwards to help you, and they made you sort of feel special. And the same with the people in your stalls, like Toy Foo, etc. Friendly people in Demand Toys, Kapow Toys, Prime Time Toys as well. A plethora, a myriad of different stalls, and they're so nice and helpful, and that makes the difference. That stays in your mind and made me want to go back before I met other awesome people.
Do you know what? The one thing that I'm always proud of more than anything else is. So there was a few years ago, there was a gentleman at the show who will remain nameless, who ran another convention, and he came up and he spoke to us afterwards, and he said that panel you did on the Sunday where you all get up on stage. It's like the last panel of the day. He's like, why did you do that? I was like, well, so that people can talk to us and engage with us and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, are you not worried that people are gonna ask you really horrible questions or anything like that? It's like, well, if they did, it's because we've not delivered the show that we set out to, and we probably deserve it. And he was like, well, we would never do that. I was like, right, well, maybe you need to think about your show then. Because none of us, to be honest, touch wood, it never happens. We will always get up on that stage and we will always open ourselves up to you guys. Because at the end of the day, you guys are the ones paying the money. We're doing all the work and stuff like that, but you're the customer. We're not going to hide from people. And I think that's one of the most telling things, because again, with all the best will in the world and stuff like that, we will get up on that stage every single year and we will open ourselves up to you, the people. And if you have a problem, there you go, you can ask. And to this point, over the course of all of TFN, we've had one difficult question. And it wasn't a difficult question, it was just poorly worded, and it was absolutely fine. And I think the reason that we do that is because we care so much about it.
To be fair, I did only ask about Megan Fox.
I was going to say, was it from Simon Furman about excluding Alexis, asking him for pints?
Can you please ban that man? I just want to say as well, one of the other good things about TFN is, for anybody who's watching who's got kids and stuff, the amount of kids that are there.
Oh, that's a new thing, isn't it?
Wonderful.
Is
it new? Because
I like it because me and Alexis don't feel so small anymore. I'll be like, oh.
I remember 2019. I think it was
18,
2019.
I remember
No,
as a kid.
one of the years when I picked up the Combiner Wars Devastator from Toy Food
2019.
because I like to give to charity and not make a big deal about it. But I picked up Devastator.
2019.
We were sat in
You've
the
said that story
bar,
so many times.
but we were sat in the bar, and there was. I just noticed there was a dad and his kids stood about a few meters away from us, and they were staring at the thing, and it was like, "Come over, you can." And that's the way it is. Like the fact that people approach. And then last year we had Rude,
And don't finish that story.
his kids.
And you were so generous, you decided to undisplay my poster as well, which is the one where you had all those.
I don't remember that bit. I think you're making that up, Jamie.
I showed that to the kid as well.
And then I gave it to him, and I said, "Jamie loves to give to the underprivileged." No, but the kid came over, and he was like, when you see that reaction from a kid that you know would have been your reaction at that age. I mean, you know, his dad was saying, "Oh no, you can have a look," and I was saying, "No, if you have a look." And I handed him, I think it was Scrapper or whoever it was, and he was like and just holding it like it was the frigging Holy Grail in his hand, and he couldn't believe it. And it was just mad. It's just
you did that at another
wonderful.
convention for you gave this kid a Skylinks. You just went
Well, I mean that was Sifa Darkmane's lad.
Yeah, but you didn't know him that well then.
It was the.
I mean, after you left, I went. And
I don't like to talk about. I don't like.
After you left, I went up to him and I said, "He will collect eventually."
I always remember like when. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, like, I always remember, like, when we were sat around just before, like, when we were planning the very first TFN, and we got to the really awkward stuff, which was like ticket prices and stuff like that. It's like, right, how much is an adult ticket? Okay, it's this. All right. How much is a young adult ticket? Okay, it's this. All right. How much is a kid's ticket? Free. Like, what? It's like,
that's amazing, though. How many other conventions do
that? No question about it. Like, no ifs, ands, buts, or nothing. Like, ticket free. Why? Because at the end of the day, this is a franchise for kids. We might not want to admit it. We might want to be like, oh, no, it's for me. It's for me and my 40-year-old. No. They're toys. They're for children. Like, if a kid...
You had a good one, Dave.
Oh, you're going to sit me up.
You gotta accept it sometimes. You gotta let it go. You gotta realize it's not yours anymore. But that's it. Like, could you imagine like going to a Transformers convention when you were a kid? And it's just wall Transformers, and it's every Transformer ever. Like, in one place.
The thing is, I took my kids, and they weren't into Transformers, but even they bought a Transformer each.
You didn't take them again because you wanted.
No, well, I want to get drunk.
That's much harder to look after your children. As fathers taking on kids at TFN, gone.
Are you bringing your kids? No.
Next year, no, they'll probably stay.
No, it's definitely not for kids.
Last year, I did bring my kids once though.
Fair, Paul. I have RJ, so he's like another one of my children. So he's there. So it's kind of like I'm bringing my kid every time he's along.
But last year, Transformers the show ran a competition for TF Nation, which I'll just show there, and that was quite successful on Twitter, and that was quite good for getting to meet a lot of people which would normally not meet in our circle as well. Because the one danger, I think, of doing conventions is you start to get into almost like a niche, a sort of friendly circle. And the one thing I've liked about TF Nation is I think everyone strives not to fall into that trap. Well, especially with the plethora of people I managed to meet, which has been awesome. And it's almost, I wish it was like a sushi restaurant. We were in the bar and you could be in like a conveyor and you could just rotate around slowly and sort of meet new people. And that would, to me, be an awesome thing. I don't know if the Hilton can do that in time for TF
What
Nation.
those two bouncers
So what are you suggesting here, Jamie? Like Transformers friend speed dating?
Jamie suggested we should be on a rotating table that just moves around the bar area so we can say hello to more people.
Obviously, you've got to be nice.
What happens when you reach people who don't like you and you've got to slowly move past?
I just love it. It's really awkward. Like every 30 seconds, just ding. Hello, I like V1. Stands up. No.
His place is my favorite.
Like in the bar and stuff. Like one of my favorite things in the bar.
Oh, it was good seeing Sun streaking last year. It was awesome.
is slowly but surely watching all of the quote-unquote normies basically realizing that this isn't their place anymore. You know, it's kind of like, oh, that grown man has a toy on his table. Oh no, another table with another toy with a grown man. Oh! Like, you know, it's
the overcoming, isn't it? When they laugh and look at one person and go, oh, look at that. Oh no, they're everywhere.
Didn't you find it slightly weird though, almost without the not that I'm complaining, but without the what's it called, dance motion or whatever they're called? Because I'm so used to having them there.
It
on
wasn't
the same
as
weekend.
romantic,
and it was almost like you were walking around, looking around, going,
yeah,
well, it's just us. It's just literally, it's wonderful.
I like to think we had the swagger last year, especially with the wags.
Well, I think it was more Alexis with the bloody speakers, but yeah, that helps definitely. Having the wives and girlfriends there and being supportive and also drinking also helps.
The best one was the Quilt Connors. Like, I miss the Quilt Connors. Like, I couldn't care about Dad's City. Oh, R.I.P. Dan City. You know, but yeah, it's. I love like standing at the bar and stuff and just like talking to somebody who has no clue what's going on, and it's happened a few times. You know, where you'll just be like, so what is this? You know, they'll see the TF Nation top or whatever it is. But like, so what is this? It's like, well, do you remember Transformers? Yeah. Well, it's a convention about Transformers. Do they still make them? Like, have you not seen the $1 billion movies that have been coming out over the last 10 years? It's like.
See, the best thing happened last year. I was at TF Nation. I was in the gym, and I'm doing some weights, and this guy came up and another guy and he said, "Oh, we really like the YouTube show you do, and we love your photos and stuff like that." And it was I just had some quick dialogue. I felt really good. They went away, but I could see the other people who are like using the apparatus, the machines, and going, is he like a YouTuber or something like that? And I was thinking, yes, I am famous.
Yeah. So, to be clear, that was a story about you're a famous YouTuber.
Yeah.
But you know what? Though? Game recognizes game, Jamie. You know, it's stuff like that
happens all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like stuff like that is like what I love. You know, it's like even I like, you know, people like say like, oh, you know, you do really well on stage. Like you seem very calm and collected and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, but sometimes like when I'm sat across from a Greg Berger or like a David Sobolov or a Sue Blue or somebody like that, it's really hard to be like, oh,
not be a fan.
You're Sue Blue, like, you know, like, oh my god, like, that's it. Like, I love those moments. Like
the guys who like Simon Fenman's so awesome because he always just sits down and has a drink, doesn't he? There's literally no difference between him at the convention or him just there. If he's there for 3 days, he'll hang out with people. Who are the other ones? Because that's the only one I know. Like him and Jeff are the only ones I really know to sit down and say hello to. Who are the ones in your experience from past conventions who have a little drink and get involved and chat?
So do you know what? Like, so like little story here. You know, I mentioned 2008. So 2008 wasn't just like the first convention where everybody like knew each other, but 2008 it was the first time that Greg Berger had been invited to a Transformers convention in the UK. And we got there on, I don't know, what would it have been, like the Thursday or something like that. And we're just sitting in the bar, and suddenly Greg Berger walks into the bar, and he just grabs a pint, and it's just like, you know, you see him, and you're like, it's Greg Berger. It's Generation 1 Grimlock. Greg, would you like to join? Yeah, absolutely. And that was it. Like, he was just like, from that point on, he was, and to this point, like, and a little bit of inside baseball here. Whenever we're talking about guests, we always have the question of, would this person be a bar guest?
Oh, do you?
Yeah, like genuinely, like, you know, would this person likely, because we don't turn, like, you know, we can't turn around to them and say, you need to hang out in the bar.
No,
because that would never happen. you know. And there are certain guests, you know, who let's take Sue for example. The likelihood that Sue would hang out in the bar, not necessarily. Why? Because she's in her late 70s. You know, and you know, there's certain stuff. Not only that, but you know, some actors, they're not comfortable in crowds. You listen to I don't know if any of you have read Dan Gilvezen's autobiography, but if you've read that, he talks about going to parties with like some of the Transformers guys, specifically Peter Cullen and Frank Welker, and he said that you would go to parties and those two would spend the entire night just sat together because they do not like socializing with people they don't know. You know what I mean? Like, so there's lots of different things, but we do consider it. We are like, you know, is that so? I mean, like all of the IDW artists, you know, your Nick Roberts, your James Roach. No, hold on, Nick Roberts. I'm combining Nick Roach and James Roberts.
Yeah.
John Paul Beauvais, who is like one of my favorite people on the planet, like is genuinely one of the funniest men in the world, and who apparently the other day has just announced that he's gotten a gig writing for the Beano. Like, and I've never read the Beano in my life, but I'm like, a comedy strip written by John Paul Beauvais. Like, give me that, yes, please. Like, you know, and as you say, Simon Furman. Like, I remember the first time like sitting down with Simon and just having a beer with him and stuff like that. And you're like, you're Simon Furman.
He's so cool, isn't he?
Yeah, man. Like,
I've met him. Yeah, he's just like, he's the only person I probably know in Transformers land. Like the only famous person I know who probably knows me. Just such a nice person. Like,
yeah.
And Jeff Senior. I like him about how many drinks they bought me. But yeah, he's up there.
Yeah. They are like.
Guzzy's saying he wants to socialize, but he struggles hard. Oh, Guzzy, you're not alone. Like I remember the first one I went to. I was trying to socialize, but Jamie kept talking to me, and I was like, "Oh, Jamie, just." No, I'm joking. Jamie came up to me, and Jamie was, actually Alexis was the first person who came up to me and said, "Hello, I like Transformers. Do you want to have a chat?" And I was like, "Fuck." It was amazing, and so did Jamie as well. And then Jamie said, "Oh, I've met this guy called Andy. He's from the north."
I met you the year before.
No, but that was the next year because me and you had arranged to meet up on the Friday, and then when I got there, this tall bloke was there called Paul, and then that was the start of it. And then this blonde-haired lad called Alexis came over, and the rest of the weekend turned into this incredible blur of joy.
Like he's a bit Larry, isn't he? When he gets drunk, and the next night was like,
I'm the only person with blonde hair. Not Alexis is fucking brown hair. Sam even said it on Saturday. She came out and said he's actually brown hair. Jamie's dark blonde.
Oh my God. Okay. A TFN is hard to socialize.
Yeah.
For anyone to like just chat to someone online before you go. There's the TFN. People going to TFN Facebook group is amazing. Like if you want to talk to people there.
Yeah,
we've had that as well though because we had Nathan who was another one who struggled a little bit with the social side, and I remember I think it was last year. Was it last year's? Jamie,
no, it was a year
before. And we were at TFN, and he was messaging to me saying how he was up in his room and he just didn't want to. He struggled with this whole socializing, but we just said, well, come down if you're not feeling it. Don't worry, just take yourself back up. And he ended up sat with us for hours and actually really. And it's sometimes that it's not easy. I'm not saying it is, and I know for those people who struggle with the socializing side, sometimes it is a little bit of trying to kind of, I suppose, take a bit of a leap of faith and try it. And if it's not for you, fine. Nobody's going to judge you. Just absolutely fine. But you never know. You might actually, even for a short time, come down and actually.
It's trying to be sincere because I think one of the hardest things to have in social media is like we say, come and say hello. And I think that comment is sometimes overly said, and I mean in the sense that sometimes people say it but they don't mean it, or they don't mean it at the time because then they can feel a bit anxiety themselves. Where I think we genuinely do mean it, and it's literally do come up and say hello. Just that interaction, and the more you start saying hello, the more that will start to lead into a conversation.
I think we're lucky, all of us, though, because like Dave, you get up on stage and you kind of, I don't want to say run the show because if Billy's watching, he'd be fuming. But you were able to do that, and you've got that acting background, and you're obviously confident that way. Although I'm sure you again have your own.
Does being incredibly good-looking Dave help out in this?
Absolutely not.
But that's the thing. It's like, some of us are lucky enough to be a little bit more comfortable in those social situations, but all of us have that little bit of anxiety. First TFN I went to, I barely spoke to a person. Second TFN, I was lucky enough to actually get to meet up with Jamie and then Paul and Alexis, and then it snowballed from there. And I think sometimes it's just that little bit of luck of meeting those people.
You know what it is? And I'll be perfectly open here. It's like, take me out of like the TFN setting, dump me in that hotel with that many people at a, I don't know, let's say a football convention. I would get out of there faster than, because at the end of the day, I know nothing, I don't care, and I would feel very uncomfortable. And it's totally understandable that like people would feel that way. What I always say to people is, if you've bought a ticket, if you've come to the Europe's largest Transformers convention, because you're a fan of Transformers, but you don't know anybody, wander up to a table, find a spare seat, sit down, and just listen. Gauge the conversation, see how it's going. Nobody is going to tell you to disappear. Nobody is going to tell you to get lost. They're just going to, sit, listen, drop something in, talk about something. That's all you need to do, and suddenly you'll be set. And if it's not your cup of tea, don't worry about it. Like if you feel like it's getting too stressful, take yourself out of the environment, go back to your room, rest up. Like there's no shame in not wanting to hang out. I'm too old to hang out now. Like I'm literally too tired. But to your point there, Andy, like yes, I'll get up on stage and stuff like that, but even I like struggle in big social circles. The only difference is that we all have that one connection, which is Transformers. Just don't tell me that you've never seen Beast Wars, otherwise I will beat you.
I've never seen Beast Wars, Dave.
Now, did you notice, Ed? He said he will beat you, not beat you off.
Very clear, very clear.
And always, like I say every year, like if you don't know anyone, come on and talk to me. I will always talk and chat, and I've made so many friends on the back of Sunstreaker. I remember meeting you and Guzzy, chatting to you. Like if you don't know anyone, I will spend all weekend with you, not in bed. Like you can't come to my room. Just to make it clear. Well, some of you can. Most people can't come to my room. Okay, so but everyone else, I will absolutely. We'll go and get coffees. We'll meet people. I'll introduce you to the rest of the people in the show. I love it when people come up and say, "Hi, do you want to talk about Transformers?" Yes, I do, because I probably know the least about anyone in the show. So anyone who can educate
Such
me.
a Sardinay drinking Southerner Starcom guy, doesn't he? We'll do
Exactly.
We'll go
If you
want to talk about my bourgeois ways,
you know what it is? I think this is why, like, what you guys do every week is so important, because every white man under the sun can have a podcast, because opinions and all of that stuff. But the fact that you guys do this every week, you're on camera, people get to see your face, they know who you are, they get to say like, oh, I like that Andy fella. I don't like that Alexis fella. Just because he's not here.
Yeah, this is an example.
But so like I'm like, all right, okay, well, there he is, and people probably will, there will be some people who might be like, oh, that's Andy from the show. Like, oh God, like it happens with Thu all of the time.
Yeah.
Like people get nervous around it and stuff like that. But I think when you guys are on here every week and you are opening up to yourselves and you are having fun and things like that, it just creates that environment for people to be able to go, oh, actually, they do seem approachable. Like, as opposed to, and this isn't a knock by any means on Thu, I'm not saying this or anything, but just as an example, it's like, you know, a standard YouTuber who makes video content and you don't see them interact with other people. You're not entirely sure, is this an act? Is this a, you know, whatever it is? So I think it's important that you guys do stuff like this because it does create a sense of community. I mean, you've got people...
We are amazing, aren't we, Andy and Paul?
You know.
Oh, I hope Alexis is watching all
Few's my favorite.
Love you, Alexis.
My favorite YouTuber. I've never ever said hello to him. I've never met him. I've always been too scared to say like, "Oh, hi," and you just get that nervousness, don't you? But and so I appreciate like, and a few has been so close to me, like literally, I could like almost like do that with my arm a little bit, like stretch. I've never been brave enough to like say hello, hi, and he's like we've emailed each other stuff about stuff we've done in the past, like when we've done the COVID videos and stuff. But in real life, I've never been brave enough to talk to Few or and he is my favorite YouTuber, and so like I understand like how people get a bit weird about stuff and meeting people in real life and saying hello. All I can say is like, and obviously we're nothing like Few, but like if someone's ever worried about meeting people, just come up and just grab one of us, and we'll always talk. Like that's how we all met each other. That's how you make your friendship circles and stuff. And one of the best bits I ever loved was, I think it was TFN last, we were having a chat and there was a group of people who we'd met from the last 3 years having a chat together, and there was a new friendship group growing from it. It's insane. It's
that little community within the community that had grown up around kind of watching what we do and meetings and chatting and stuff. That was nice.
TFW 2000, what wasn't there?
There's nothing to do with like anyone being good or anything brilliant. It's just about people breaking down barriers and being all right about saying hello and do you want to have a chat, and
especially trying to get there
and moaning about the
but there was like the TFW lot, and I remember Paul was talking to them, and Paul said, "Oh, this guy's a photographer as well," but I'd already been speaking to their friends, and so we'd all kind of all known each other, and it was kind of weird actually. It was like, and it was like another group. You know, it was almost like an Anchorman without the fight. You know,
You know what though? There used to be like it sounds so dumb, but there really did used to be like proper like beefs between different Transformers websites and stuff like that back in the day. You know, it's ridiculous to like think about it now. Like I remember
was there Transformers fangirls like and fans boys who were like, "Oh, I'm so with this."
Yeah, well, look, we talked about it earlier on about how like the reason most likely that G1 is losing to Animated is because everybody just wants to like see G1 not win and stuff like that. You still get these weird hang-ups where people are like, "Oh, you know, I'm like my fandom has to be right," whatever it is. It's like, don't bring that to TFN. Like, you know, but you used to get that. Like, I remember when we started doing the podcast all the way back in like 2008 and stuff like that, and you would try to reach out to other like podcasts and be like, "Hey, do you want to collaborate? Like, I really like the show and stuff like that." No.
Really?
Oh yeah.
We've had that though. We've had that not that long ago with an American YouTuber who ran a group over in America, and I think it was me, shared one of our videos on the group because I was part of the group. And just thought, no problem, I'll share it. And he deleted the post and sent me a private message saying we weren't allowed to post our videos on there because he did his own version of what we do, and he saw us as
he's a nutter. That was the guy who was attacking people because he had the audacity to like the new Transformers.
I found that bizarre. I know, yeah, he has.
Oh, was he?
But it was just bizarre. I've never.
You had a massive conversation with him, Dave. You know, you were.
Was he scared? Was he scared of the fact that like the?
I don't want to name check him, but it was basically Ben Shapiro.
It was not.
Oh no! The Transformers show is coming for your children. It's been coming for your children for the last 40 years.
Yeah, but the thing is, what you find is with twats like that, they're twats about everything. You know, they're just like they're looking for a niche to bully, and that's the thing. They're not your archetypical type person that's thinking like that. They would just find any excuse just to try to bully people. And
Alexis, log out of the Transformers the Show account and just post as yourself, for Christ's sake. We can tell it's you because you're spelling words wrong.
Yeah,
bless him.
I
Yes, my fellow brown-haired friend who's not dark blonde like me. Yes. Okay.
Sorry, Dave. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say it's like that. That's just why I love TFN, because it's just like I've never had to deal with that. You know what I mean? It's like I've never had to get into an argument with somebody, other than like the only person that I ever argue with at TFN is McFeely.
Oh, awesome.
Like
you and RJ.
just because
is McFeely coming to this TFN?
I would imagine he is. He better be, because I've got him booked for stuff.
He's a really nice guy as well. I mean, I can't speak for him. I don't want to say to people, "Oh yeah, go talk to Chris McFeely." But he ended up having a chat with me and Alexis last year, and it was really. That was the first time I've probably had the opportunity to spend a prolonged period of time just chatting Transformers with him. And then such a nice guy, so knowledgeable. I mean, like ridiculously so. It's
one of the most ridiculous comments I read was someone said, "Oh, Chris McFeely sounds like one of those AI things on YouTube," and I was thinking, "Fuck off! He's got like one of the best voices in YouTube ever."
Yeah, it's such a lost voice, isn't it?
I know.
I remember I picked him up from the airport once, and he was like, "He's talking to me in Chris McFeely's voice." Hey, what, Chris McFeely?
He's putting the voice on,
and a hell of a voice
sexy
actor as
Irish
well.
Voice.
Like he doesn't do it all that.
And his comic book knowledge is insane.
You know what it is? Like I remember somebody turning around to me once and going, saying like, "I don't understand what the big deal is about McFeely. All he does is read the wiki." I was like, "Mother, he wrote the wiki.
He is the wiki."
Like that's not a joke either. Like, you know, it's like.
And he'd seen the show. I remember picking him up and driving him from the airport, and he was like, "Oh, I was like, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" Because obviously I knew he does Transformers. I didn't know he just done that just for a living. He's like, "Well, I do YouTube." I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I know you do YouTube." And then he's like,
"Guy for 400, he's 9 foot tall."
And then he says, "Oh," and I said, "Oh yeah, no." We were talking about stuff, and I said, "Oh yeah, on Friday nights I always have a meet up with my friends. We always do a chat and stuff. We have a show." He's like, "Oh yeah, I know Transformers is a show," and I was like,
please don't do the accent. Please don't do the accent. You sounded more Welsh.
Are Irish, so
I don't care. That sounded Welsh.
I
know Transformers the show.
You are racist. So.
That's good. Do you know what? Like me and McFeely, we probably only talk like about like 2 or 3 times a year outside of the convention, right? And every single time it basically goes like this. I'll ring him up and I'll say, "Have you got a few minutes to talk?" He'll be like, "Yeah." And then 3 hours later, I'll be like, "Right, well, listen, we probably should go now, all right?" And he'll be like, "Yeah, cool, I got stuff to do." And that's it. Like, when we just start talking, it's like, you know, he's one of the most knowledgeable guys in regards to, like, not just
and
the fandom,
passionate.
but yeah, incredibly passionate. You can't do what he has done, which is to continuously, and like I said this to him like last year, he has been making those basics episodes for what, 5 years now, and it's like continuously, like every couple of weeks or every week there's a new episode on a new thing. You can't do that without passion. And then, you know, you hear about people getting hired to work on a new Transformers show, and the producer goes, "Right, here's Chris McFeely's YouTube channel. Go watch it." You know, he's literally being used in writers' rooms, like as a reference point.
The background.
Like,
that's pretty awesome.
It's such a weird situation. But it's
some breaking news.
Oh.
Hasbro official photographer shooting the Galaxy does a lot of the GI stuff. Liked one of my pictures.
I thought you actually had like. I mean, that is obviously major news. I thought you make you like, "Oh my god!" And here's the new Haslab. It's not that. But that's still very good though. Well done, Jay.
Do Interpol now. That is brilliant.
Just goes to show.
I could probably find something for that.
I can't believe that Mick has just said he's going to slap me for the awful attempt at an accent. That was literally me taking the piss out of Paul's Irish accent. It wasn't my Irish accent, because I don't have one, because I wouldn't be daft enough to try and do one.
Don't do an Irish accent, Andy. Then don't do an accent at all.
There it is.
Sorry, everyone, about Andy's accent. I corrected it then. In Andy's accent corner.
Oh, let's not do
that. But yeah, so he's a lovely guy. Like literally one of my oldest friends in the franchise. Like I remember trying to find him like online after the first Headmasters box set series came out, and it was like,
well, and he done the dub. No,
he did the commentary. Yeah,
he did the commentary on it.
He did the commentary. Now, bearing in mind,
just go find him.
So, as Chris tells the story to me, they were going to release the first season on DVD. And on the Metrodome forum, so this gives you some idea as to like how
there was a Metrodome forum.
There was a Metrodome forum. They announced it, and they said that they were thinking about having this dude do commentary. And the guy that they were looking to get was some really knowledgeable guy about Japanese anime. And as best as I can remember, Chris telling me the story, he basically just sent them a message going, "That's a really bad idea." And they were like, "Well, who would you recommend?" And he's like, "I'll do it." But again, you've got to remember as well, this is before the wiki existed. You know what I mean? It's not like the fact that he felt confident to be able to do that.
Yeah, but his soft, velvety Irish voice existed in it.
Oh yeah, and then that was it. I got that box set. I listened to the commentary, and then I look on the back of the box. I'm like, "Who's this Chris McFeely fella?" Like, I need to find this guy because I need to have a conversation with him. And thank goodness, he was much cleverer than us, because he was one of those guys that was like, "Yeah, I'll just use my real name online, so it's easy for people to find me." So it's like, what if this Chris McFeely on this forum is the same Chris McFeely?
This is like the opposite of my journey in Transformers. Who's this Alexis Thunderpants? He's
yeah, exactly.
Maybe I should do a YouTube with him.
I always remember as well when what was it? The 25th anniversary of Transformers the movie was that when he did the commentary track for it? Maybe the 30th anniversary. And there was the American release that came out, and then there was the UK release, and there was a bunch of guys on the American one, and then there was Chris on just by himself on the UK one, and it was like, oh, they've made a mistake. Oh, Chris got it right. It's just
the one they've done with was it some Radio Free Cybertron members of that?
Actually, wasn't Paul Hitchens on that one?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think Hitch was on it. Yeah. Now, when it comes to Transformers the movie, there ain't somebody more knowledgeable than Hitch. Trust me. Like, the guy's entire life is based around like Transformers the movie. But there's somebody who I would love to get into his archives and have a proper rummage around.
Is that euphemism?
No. He's been collecting Transformers the movie memorabilia and stuff longer than we've been like fans. It's like the amount of stuff he must have. Like,
I could buy it just like that.
And it's used so.
What's that, mate?
Do you need to shoot off?
Oh, sorry. Yes, yeah. I am gonna have to get off my.
I do apologise.
No, not at all, Dave. It's been fascinating. That's why I'm still here, because it's just always brilliant to have you on and hear your insight, and also just have a chat about Transformers. But my good lady wife is unfortunately not well, and I said to her, "Don't worry, I'll make sure I get off the show early." Well, never mind, eh? We've got to hit that 2-hour threshold and the other 32 minutes.
Well, we crushed that, but I've been really enjoying it. I forgot we watched a YouTube show.
That's why, Dave. There's no need to apologise, because it's just always a pleasure to get the chance to sit and have a chat with you.
Free drinks at TF Nation is always helpful.
Oh dear. Anyway, yes, but I do have to jump off. So
we'll shut the whole show down for a night. Dave, thank you so much for coming on. You're absolute legend. We always appreciate having you on. And you're much better than Alexis, so it's a double plus.
Tickets on sale tomorrow to TFN, remember?
Yes, absolutely.
Right, we have exclusive. What time? Because everyone keeps asking me, what time do they go on sale, Dave?
Yeah, tickets are on sale tomorrow.
Everyone keeps asking, what time is it? I'm going to say midday.
12 o'clock.
I think it's 12 o'clock. I think it's 12
usually 12 o'clock.
I can see you opening up web pages.
Maybe.
No one knows. I'll definitely see him there. Midday. Sunstreak is saying midday. Billy Edwards said, "Come on, Dave. You should know."
Supported Billy.
Yeah, it's midday. Midday, sure.
Midday. I feel like your homework's getting checked now.
There's only so much you can. There's only so much you can.
There is,
because I'm sure that when I sign off here, Billy will be sending me his score through.
Billy just said it's been midday for the last 7 years. So no, right.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for watching as well, and of course, tickets online tomorrow at midday. Au revoir. Thank you. Go check out Transformers UK, TF UK, the show. We love you lots. Bye bye. Bye bye.